everybody, welcome back to another fun time Phoebe streaming. Sorry about the delay, everybody. My OBS and my stream elements were being all fucky. And literally everything I did to try and get my stream elements to work just didn't. For some reason, my stream elements, like the website, is just a blank white screen. And I looked it up and it was like, clear your cookies and cache. So I did that and it didn't fix it. So I had to go and like open like a different browser on my phone and try to edit shit that way. And it was kind of fucky, not great. But hey, everybody. Hey, Claudian. Hey, Gavin. Hey, Shanwolf. Hey, Dipshitiot. Hey, Aaron. Hey, Never Waking Girl. Hey, Valkyrissa. Metal Man the Magnificent. How are you all today? I didn't really do a whole lot today, I'm not gonna lie. I played a lot of Stardew Valley, though. So, like, I guess you could say I was farming. Owie! Dina, you're not allowed to die. And also, I was almost max level Fireball, Udasa. I'm surprised you're here because you hate me so much. Lori, what the fuck? Also, haha, no damage, bitch. Hey, the Rodak. Hey, John. If I can get a good bit of the stream before shopping. Thank you so much, Metal Man, for the sub. I still gotta change the font color on that alert. I'm just trying to mess with all my new stuffs. Don't bite me, only I'm allowed to bite. Rude, you can't say look out after you throw stuff at me, that's rude. Lori, that was almost minimum damage. Girl, you gotta get better. Ever since you became like a sheepy, I think your magic left. See, that's more like it, Dina. You're in a funk. I almost said something very, very wrong. But I hope your funk clears up. Maybe take a shower. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about do a coward. I'm not gonna say it. I'm a wholesome, say so being. No horny, no sins. Just wholesome tabletop adventures in our magical fun time book, Fabula Ultima, which we're gonna be talking about all the day. Don't look at me like that, alright? Chat, I can see you. I am wholesome. I am say so. Don't at me. And there's no lies here. And I am not little. I am 3'9". That is exceptionally tall for a goblin, okay? I simply got an entry. Do you roll on initiative? Although I guess this one doesn't really have that. I don't, listen, it depends. If I'm using stealth for initiative, why are you guys so mean? Oh yeah, no, I am so excited to play Fabula Ultima with you, Gavin. Stop it! Why are you guys all rude? That was almost max damage. Nice job. Now, so welcome in. Stop it! See, that's better, Luna Baroness. Return what you took from my tomb. No. It's all mine now. Listen, as soon as you it's a tomb, alright? You're not using it, you're dead. I do love the frickin' Death by Snoozu animation you got. Fairbanks does amazing work. Return the slab. Shut up. Alright, yeah, that's how you sound. I'll beat you up. How's your PC freezing? Was you hit by fire damage? Okay, I'm done being mean. Oh, now back to tired. Also, I'm sorry about that, John. My streams can be kind of taxing. The best to wear? The person who told me to get back the urn from in my chat right now, they got a Death by Snooze animation, the walking stuff from Fairbanks themselves. I considered getting one for Phoebe, but Phoebe's a little small, and it wouldn't really work well, in my opinion. Fairbanks said that it would work just fine, but I just don't think it fits my character as a goblin. You're more powerful than you, Dina. You're like falling apart. I'm writing. I mean, to writing. Hey, Mommy K, what's up? What is this snooze do for ants? Exactly. It just wouldn't work for my small proportions. I say small proportions, but like, look at me. Nothing small about my proportions. My hips are as big as my fucking head. See, Phoebe? If you cannot use mass to cause death by Susie, you must compensate with velocity. Yes! Call small mummy big. Big mummy. That's a lot of toilet paper wrapping around you. Tippy tap. Yeah, my legs go a little tippy tap when I go shake, shake, shake. Usual talking to the girlfriends while staring at Gabo, and you strike me down. That's just typical ground card behavior. That's what you get. Ben size 7H cup. Listen. Listen, you know how hard it is to get a fucking corset going on with this shit? Look at me. It's hard to breathe. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff about Fabula Ultima. I did a little dive into the book itself, talking about some of the rules and stuff for it last night, but I was a little rushed for it because I had to do Pathfinder stuff. But today we're going to take it a little slower, explain stuff more in depth, and then hopefully have a good time. The tank at the party. Breathing is optional. Looking hot is mandatory. No, for real. That's me IRL. Maybe for what happens next, I'm sorry. You can't. Why you guys keep hurting me? That was like almost minimum damage, though, so you deserve it. But yeah, no. I'll be detailing a couple of my own characters I made, going over the character creation process and the basic rules of Fabula Ultima with you guys. Get surprise from Fable's stream tonight. No, it's no, Vanessa, please. I cannot. Ow. Okay, I'm gonna fall quiet. Oh, it's okay, Lori. And I'm glad you're able to fall asleep to me, even with all the fireballs going off everywhere. I thought Snotgates rolled minimum damage. I would have laughed so hard. I needed to heal the Phoebe command. I should invest in that. It would just be more D6s thrown at me, though. It would just be like green D6s. Actually, no, it'd be D8s, excuse me. But still. Heal. Hydrate. I keep forgetting how fucking heavy I got a gallon water bottle, so I don't have to take as many water breaks while I'm streaming, so you guys get optimal Phoebe time. This is fucking heavy. A gallon of water is so much weight. I never thought about it. What's Gabo drinking? Just water tonight. I usually only ever drink water. Gets hit by D6s and screams. Hey, listen, if my screams gets hit by D8s comes, that's for Blue Twitch streams. Coming soon to a theater near you. Makes as much as a gallon of milk. Listen, I don't know how much that weighs. You think I lift things? I have people do that for me. Yes, coming soon. Maybe, eventually, perhaps. If you tell me to do it, I might. I almost just knocked a bowl of soup off my thingy. It weighs a gallon. Shut up, Odessa. I hate you. Gallons are pretty light, hee hee. Shut up. I have small arms. Look at them. You think there's any muscle mass on this shit? I have a +4 to my strength, but it's deceptive. It's all magic. These arms are small. They hold big book. That's about it. Yeah, getting stronger. I don't want to get stronger. I need to have small, dainty arms. People think it's more attractive. Can't lift a gallon because she doesn't get girlies. There's no gals on her. That's not true. I do the Kaibadan, but with like a ladder. Everybody lift, you get one stronger. I don't know if that's how that works. But Buff Gobbo. I know, I played a Buff Goblin before. I should pull my art of her. King Meg, the amazing artist, he drew her before. I gotta go and find it real quick. Nope, that's the body pillow art. I can't post that. King, Meg. That's porn. It is. Probably big, yeah, it's huge. Jesus Christ. Thank you so much, Icy Ironcaster, for the follow. Sorry for flashbanging with all the whiteness. There's a muscle goblin coming your way. Don't worry. You've all been waiting for. Big muscle goblin. Earthbender monk lady. Ta-da! I played this for like 3 sessions in a Pathfinder 2e game before. As YouTube integration not working, is chatting over there. Ugh. Sometimes the chat box does not work for me. Like, sometimes it does not blend the YouTube chat, and I'm sorry for that. Starting muscles stronger bites. Yeah, that's with my teeth, though, not with my arm. Muscle mommy. That's a muscle goblin. She was an earthbender. She just threw rocks at people and caused earthquakes. She was raised by rocks. Literally, there was rock people. Kind of like shard mines, but made out of stone instead of crystals, and not psionic. There's shrunky. And then I was raised by them as a goblin. And then I learned how to earthbend from it. Okay, she's hot. Yeah, I know, right? Everything I do is hot. Macarosa makes authentic goblins. I don't have time for that. I'm busy throwing rocks at people. And she's indeed needs muscles to carry the milk box. I feel like I need to post something in the server now that people are simping for muscle mommies. Have you had the chance to check out the third-party materials for Fabula Ultima? There's some fun stuff in there, like the Gambler and the Street Fighter. I have not. I never really looked. I didn't know there was like a license for third-party stuff until someone told me last night. I was woefully ignorant to it, sadly. Being a Grok Keys fee schedule full. Listen, I'm trying. I gotta figure out how to get my YouTube, Twitch, like my YouTube chat thing to work, because I can't post YouTube chat on Twitch because that's illegal against terms of service. Trading card shop sim. I saw that. I'm waiting to see more updates for it to come out before I fuck with it, because I love trading card games. I play Yu-Gi-Oh, Card Fight Vanguard, Digimon. I'm looking at the One Piece game. Looks kind of neat. I learned from D&D VTubers the only difference between orcs and goblins is who's on top and who's the bottom. No, they don't tell me which is which. There's a lot of differences. And it's okay. We all top together as friends. Nope, they didn't fix it. Shit. Oh, I tried. I'll send you a link to the fan account to check it out later. Thank you. Hey, Goblin Physics. I have a lot of those. Well, my ears wiggle like a motherfucker. I turned up the ear wiggle to like 200% for you guys, so you guys have maximum Goblin ear wiggle, and only the ear wiggle. I didn't turn up any other physics, trust me. I love our botanical topping. It's like, I feel like that's like a weird pizza. I suggest Googling Ultimator, the FU equivalent of Arcos and Assault game rules, has character sheet manager, monster builder, and community monster library. I think I might have seen something like that before, but I'd gladly take a look at it. Everyone topping at the same time. That's like, instead of they were both bottoms, they were both tops. Nice wiggles. I know, right? Join your Discord, I believe. Alrighty, I will take a look after stream. It's like my Discord likes to get kind of slow when I do my VTubing shit. They shout to your blood fallen cosplay should be a goal. I don't know. Maybe. I've been debating what I want to get for like Halloween art for Phoebe. I could get that. I could go for Midna. Sky's the limit. By the way, is that Shantae music? No, it's not. It is a royalty-free music made by a nice Japanese lady named Peritune. Peritune. They make a bajillion royalty-free music songs, and it's also great. Thank you so much, green tea doodles. I think I'm pretty cool myself. Sometimes. Speaking of Fabula, though, I gotta run mine tomorrow. Scared as hell about the boss fights or lethal system. Is it? I haven't had any trouble with it so far. I've been having a good time, but then again, I play a chunky motherfucker in one of them, and then Pew Pew Magoo in the other one. But yeah, no, I never had a bad time with it, I don't think. Good luck, John. Don't sweat it. Relax. Don't overthink things too much. Yeah. Sweetie swore in my pure ears. Listen, I say a lot of the bad words a lot of the time. Don't listen to me. Also, before we get into the deep dive, I do want to remind everybody that Twitch currently is having a end of the September little event going on right now. If you donate, I believe, if you donate 5 subs, Twitch will go and put out one gifted sub. Although I have seen Twitch give out a lot more. Like my friend Melissa, she's streaming, and she got 20 gifted subs from somebody. And then Twitch gave her 37 extra subs. So, like, you never know. It would help a lot. Support the Gronkler. Why you guys keep calling me the Gronkler? That's not my title. I am a noblewoman. You can't just call me the Gronkler. Yeah, someone last night Twitch gave 10 extra subs. Yeah, it's crazy what they do. Have you seen not so lethal my experience, but could just be me group. Yeah. We're not having any character death and a lot of silence. Well, party is in crisis now. Dude, I love being in crisis. I use a mutant class, the Fury, and the Blood Knight Darkblade. That's what it's called. Darkblade on one of my characters to make an angry, edgy. She's not even edgy or angry. She just uses crisis abilities a lot. Hope you have a wonderful stream. Wish you could stay, but I must lurk. That's okay, Mad Monty. Thank you so much for stopping by. The Aristocrat kind of dumped Might. No, you need Might. That gives you all the HP. All my characters have at least start with a fucking D10 and Might because I like playing strong bitches. I got 0 willpower. I don't need willpower. Head empty. I don't need magic. You kidding me? If you're playing the same as my players, hell yeah. I play as a D&D or new game. We're talking about Fabula Ultima. It is a it's called TTJRPG. So it's a tabletop game based on a lot of the JRPGs of old, at least story based wise, so Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, stuff like that. It has a very fun and detailed character creation system that you can go into in a little bit. Yeah, exactly. All. That's my characters. Oh, that's one on Twitter. Can you say what I'm about? Yeah, no, it's really cool. I love it the most. I'm going to be in 2 actual plays for it in the next coming weeks, starting on Saturdays and Sundays. So not these Saturdays, Sundays. It's going to be a couple weeks for both of them. I think Sunday one's going to be coming on October 3rd. Oh, by the way, Fabian, there's a watch in the sci-fi book that lets you store demons in it. Ooh, I haven't looked super deep into the atlases yet. It's a 6, I think, really. But I haven't looked too deep into the atlases other than the class stuffs. Because I like making characters, and I didn't really look too deep into the equipment and stuff for my GMs and stuff. But yeah, no, let's go and hop right on down to my gameplay screen thingy. And we'll go and look at the PDF and stuff like that so I can show you all the fun stuffs. Be right back. I do remember the dev saying there are some JRPGs that's not so good at emulating, and they're thinking of making another system to come over those vibes. I think they were doing along as SMT and the vibes level, I don't remember. That's fair. This covers the vibes that I like a lot. You can even tell by the art right here on the front cover of it. That hey, this is Final Fantasy. Look at this shit. I love it so much. Hey, don't nerd emote me! That's rude. I was like, yeah, no. This book is a really fun and fantastic. I mean, not this book. This game is really fun and fantastic game. It has a large emphasis on storytelling. It is literally Final Fantasy in Latin, yes, or Final Tale and stuff like that. Maybe the hydrate. Italian RPG inspired by Japanese role playing game, translated English for getting global. Exactly. See your fantastical anime edge. I know it's perfect. But yeah, this game is has a lot of focus on like the storytelling and the collaborative like world building and narrative stuff. It still has like good fighting combat mechanics stuff like that, but like it has a big emphasis on like working together. It has an entire system called Fabula Points and conversely Ultima Points. Hey, don't be mean to me. But yeah, no. Like there's a lot of fun stuff in it. Also, I'm just gonna show off a bunch of the art real quick, as I love the art so much. I know a guy points. Yeah, no, Fabio points and conversely Ultima points are points that you, as the players, get to use to just change the narrative of the game, like what you're doing right now. Like, you could be walking down the street and your GM could say some like about like you're like trying to solve a mystery that's going on. You could be like, "I'm gonna put a Fabula point up," and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, I know this guy who's like the main suspect right now. We went to college together." And your GM could be like, "Okay, this is how we're gonna change the stuffs." Oh yeah, no, the system's awesome and cool. The PDFs are fairly cheap. I haven't gotten any print copies yet because like I like hardcover and I'm like soft cover, and every single like book release of this thing that I've seen is soft cover. Many players use Fabula points to fast travel. It also works. It's really fun. So in the Techno Fantasy book to get physical release. I love the Techno one. I love the pilot. I love the mutant. But the core book, at least, assuming they're still doing this. If you buy the physical book, you get a coupon of PF free. Oh, I didn't know that. Spiritism can apparently just do fast travel. It's easier with the Esper, though. My friends and I decided to make a fantasy western in this engine where guns are like ancient weapons, made of magic is an actual thing, and Mexican skeletons roam the countryside to collect bounties on the scumbags of the Wild West. And my partner wants to add an alien faction. Fuck yeah. I love mixing sci-fi and fantasy, and I like how the techno fantasy atlas stuff adds more sci-fi stuff into make it and mix them together. You know, like I said, it's a very narrative focused game. It has a lot of fun stuff. Lets you fuck with the narrative. The game itself starts off first session ever, session 0 starts with you and your friends creating the world. Before you get to character creation, before you get to any of that stuff, you collaboratively world build the entire like map essentially. Well, Fabiola, I love this game. I also love it, and that's why we're talking about it today. Yeah, no, like literally the first step, whenever you get down and sit down to play the game together with your friends, you make the world. I mean, other than you go over the, like, I mean, I should say, you first go over, like, expectations, basic tabletop stuff, like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, hey, this is what we want out of it, this is the energy we're putting forth, anything like that, but, like, the first mechanical thing you do in the game, before character creation, before any, like, stuff like that, you make the setting together, as friends do. Like, this game heavily uses like collaborative stuff. Like you make the worlds together, you do the narrative together. It's a very hero like party focused system where you have a lot of ways to engage with everything you do in the world. Like, you're both making the only the first continent of the world, saying it really goes well, we'll build the rest. That's fair. Building an entire world can go and be complicated, as well as lead to a lot of other stuff. So you should just focus on one area first and expand outwards. That's what I do with all my homebrew worlds whenever I run other tabletop games. Your Pathfinder, you'd be like, yeah, you start this one small region. I'll expand it outwards later as we like learn more things or people want to add more stuff themselves. But whenever you're making the world, you gotta remember that Fabula Ultima has 8 pillars. We're gonna go over right here. These 8 pillars are pretty much like all things that are necessary to make Fabula Ultima work well together. Thank you so much, the head pat. Basically stuff like, yeah, you've ever played a Final Fantasy game, ever played old D&D, or just D&D in general, like the place is scattered with like ancient ruins and inhospitable lands where you have to go out and adventure and do stuff in. Not everything is turbo colonized yet, like the Forgotten Realms. Thank you, Sword Coast, for being really boring. There's just fun stuff to explore, fun things to find, things to fight as you go into overland travel type stuff. 8 pillars in this economy. You got a fucking FF14 ad. That's hilarious. And then, of course, this is a heroic fantasy style thing. It's not just like you hang out and you make a tavern together, which would be cute. But this is like there are villains. There's big evil in the world that you get to go and overcome together as a party, as friends, as the warriors of light and stuff like that. Also, everything has a soul. Everything, even like inanimate objects, they all have a soul. They all have spiritual energy. They all have stuff like that. The origin, nature, and function of that energy can vary from setting to setting that you make and stuff like that, but it's gonna be there. And there's a lot of stuff that like involves manipulating like the souls for stuff via like magic or science, depending on classes and stuff. I do like Gobble streams. I have read this book to cover some of it. Have a good stream. I arrived for the intro, just left a little. That's fair. Have fun. Thank you for stopping by. And magic and technology. You can do high fantasy, low like high fantasy, low science, or like no science, high science, low fantasy, etc., etc. You can mix and match, although a lot of them will probably have stuff like Magitech, which is a big thing, and a lot of games like Final Fantasy VII has a lot of Magitech and stuff like that. Chrono Trigger has a lot of Magitech. Thank you for the strat. I'm putting together a setting skeleton. That is a VR MMO. The way I can have NPCs talk about game mechanics so I teach players more easily. That's cute. Get some Sword Art Online in there, but like less bad and also creepy. And then one of my favorite things, one of the pillars is heroes of many sizes and shapes. There are no races slash ancestry slash species slash whatever you want to call it. There's none of that. All of your mechanical depth comes through your class. And so you could be anything from like a small child that is a detective to a literal dog with a sword in their mouth warrior to like just a goblin magus for instance. Stuff like that. Your goblin talking about one of my favorite TTRPG you probably never play. Let's go. I believe in you. I think if SAO's first season was extended upon it, might have been better. Gun Gale is also really good. I wouldn't say that. FBeta's game with secret magic attack unless you read the notes inside one of the nested menus. The game doesn't tell you that 90% of the magic isn't really magic. I never beat Final Fantasy VIII. I wasn't a fan of the, God, what the fuck system is it? I can't remember what it's called, but it's like where you have to do everything through it. God, what's the name for it? Ugh. Like, you can't even use consumables in battle without, like, fucking with that system. It's kind of janky and weird, never was a fan of it. The junction system, thank you. Yeah, no, in Fabula Ultima, you can be whatever the fuck you want, so long as it makes sense in the world that you create together with your friends, and also everyone's comfortable with it. And then, of course, it's all about the heroes. I've said it a lot of times. This game is very player party focused. You are the heroes. no matter what happens, you will always be like a good person. It's hard to be evil in Fabula Ultima, like a party of evil stuff like that. But like as a players, you have a lot of ways to just influence the narrative in ways other than just being like, I hit that man with my sword. You literally just spend points called Fabula points to just go and be like, hey, GM, I know this guy right here. He can help us with this thing right now we're trying to solve. And you're like, cool, okay, new side quest unlocked. Wait, has anyone ever played Final Fantasy 16? I've been waiting to play it, and now it's on PC, channel or hyperfixation. I have not touched it. Not gonna lie, I've been kind of burnt out with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 14's okay, but the beginning's a really slog. Final Fantasy 15 annoyed me to no end, and I was not a fan of it, which I am in a minority of apparently, even though I felt like it was extremely boring and like very generic. And a lot of stuff had like no, like it felt like they just kind of put a bunch of placeholder stuff everywhere. Because like, the whole story is about like, it's about the journey, not the destination, which is great, but the journey was boring. I'm a fan of FF8, but I understand that I'm in the minority in that one. Listen, okay, if the junction system wasn't fucking weird, I wouldn't be. I would probably like it more. It was just very strange. Coming off the back of FF7, where I was like, wow, this is so easy and easy to understand. And then I was like, Final Fantasy 8, I'm like, I have to do what now to even use consumables? Fuck that. But yeah, no, that's one of my weird unhinged rants. I'm also a fan of Final Fantasy 1, the first ever game, which is another can of worms to open I'm not going to get into. I think it's just boy band adventures. It is, but if like the characters weren't all that interesting and kind of felt like cardboard cutouts of actual people. And then this part of the book just goes over like all different types of like settings and stuff you can go with, and all the different themes of stuff you can do. Like all of these things are expanded upon in like supplemental books, like expansions called atlases. Like there's High Fantasy Atlas. There's Natural Fantasy coming out in Italian right now. It's going to come out in English translation probably early next year, mid next year. And then Techno Fantasy just came out in like English. But as with every tabletop game, you do need dice. Although this game does not use D4s or like percentile dice slash D100s. It's just D6 through D20. It is a game where nobody just likes it. It's either fantastic praise or vehemently hatred. I was just like, this is kind of mid, and then I just didn't want to go and fuck with the systems inside of it because I was like 10. And of course, you probably guys know how dice work, what a D6 is. Yeah, the accursed D4. Yeah, no, why do you keep saying no, my D4? Nobody likes the D4. Oh, I want to roll a 3 real quick with a maximum of 4. Ugh, get out of here. No, I'm rolling my 20. I'm rolling my 10s, my 12s. If you guys have ever played Ritama, is a fun Asian tabletop game, kind of based on anime shit. This dice system is very much based off of that game as well. It's like a 2 dice system. FF Tactics slaps. I hear nothing but praise for it. D12 never gets enough attention. It does when you're me, because I roll nothing but D12s, because I'm a baller. D4 is great, make sure calc drops. Yeah, but so do thumbtacks. I don't have to fucking reach my hand into a bag of thumbtacks to go and roll something. I've said ambitious enough to hate them forever. Same. But like, you roll 2 dice, depending on what stat you are, like a roll will have like, in brackets, what type of like stat it is. There's 4 stats in Fabula Ultima: might, dexterity, willpower, and insight, I believe. I'm never 100% sure on the last one, but I'm always 100% sure it's actually insight. It seems you got a shout out in the author's Telegram channel. Oh, hell yeah. There's non-Poke D4s out there with a less popular. Aren't they like weirdly? Don't you like? Are they like cylindrical? I never like. They always felt weird to me. They felt off because they're not pointy. And I like points, even though those ones hurt me. And so, like, you'll see something that says you roll a might plus your dexterity, and that is the accuracy check of your roll. So instead of just rolling a d20, like say D&D or Pathfinder or Lancer, you roll those 2 dice of whatever stat is necessarily needed at the time. And then you can, like, you go and compare that to the DC of whatever thing you're trying to get over, whether it's like the armor of an enemy or anything like that. No, the rectangles with curved ends. That's what I thought. Those are things that Toph cheated at when they were in the Earth Kingdom, trying to like get money, like swindle people. Hey, Arcady, what's good? We're talking about Fabula Ultima. So accuracy stuff is not going to be anywhere near as like obtuse as it is in Pathfinder 2e, because like I love how big numbers get in Pathfinder 2e because it gives you a sense of like scale and how much you're getting powerful. But I know a lot of people are not a fan of my AC being 43. The same thing last time, yes, but more in depth, yes. I have more than 2 hours to talk about it, so we're gonna go over everything together as friends. Instead of me just rushing through it, especially towards the end of last night's stream, I'm still a little embarrassed about it. Yeah! But, like, since it's based on Ryutama, the dice, you, like, when you have your stats, there's 4 stats, like I said. Might, dexterity, willpower, and insight, I think. I never remember. What's the last one? I never remember the last one. Blah, 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 blah. That's more than I. Value also strikes me as closest to 5 or 14. I say 5 a lot. It is insight. I'm awesome. The T2 is just a coin, yes. I was making sure. So when you roll your dice, you add one of those 2 stats together. Like one of my attacks and one of my character uses 2 might dice. So if my might is a D10, I'd roll 2 D10s, add those together, and that would be the accuracy check for my ability. Whereas one of my friends has one of their attacks being a might plus a dexterity. So if their dexterity was a D8 and their might was a D10, it would be a D10 plus a D8 to try and get over a DC. Yeah, no, like a lot of stuff. Like when it comes to big numbers, there is using MP. I don't use that because I'm not a huge loser nerd who uses spells. I'm a full martial character because I like hurting things with my fists. I will destroy you. I'll break you. I'll ruin you. Goodbye. And then I say that as I use my provoke ability, which costs MP to use. So it's not just like for spelly stuffs. MP is also used for like basic abilities and stuff like that, like in Final Fantasy and stuff like that. Where you use like MP to go and use cool big gun move. I will kill you with ones. Listen, okay. I only ever roll ones with Ashen. All my other characters are awesome and have huge dick energy and will destroy you. Promise. Why you guys all like this? I'm sorry, I forgot to eat, and now my grilled cheese is cold. And as far as like how you actually play the game, you have scenes that your GM will introduce to you. They'll describe everything like a normal tabletop game. You'll be like, hey, here's who are around you, like who is present, you guys, obviously, plus whoever, like people are around, like NPCs and stuff like that, monsters. You know, where you're at, everything like that. You've played a tabletop before if you're already here, probably. And then you're just like, hey, GM, I'm going to do this, I'm going to interact with that. It's like basic tabletop stuff. I'm trying to like figure out exactly what I should like say, because like a lot of this stuff is self-explanatory from like a tabletop perspective. But I know not everybody is experienced with tabletops, so I don't want to like just generalize it in case some people here who like this is their first time ever thinking about a tabletop game. You know? And like over to like what these types of scenes are. Like the basic scenes are what I just described. You know, you play the tabletop game, your GM described everything, you describe what you're doing, you do a back and forth. Sometimes you might need to roll some dice to go and resolve like whatever you're trying to do. Like you're trying to strong arm somebody or you're gonna try to punch someone in the mouth, and things like that. It's a tabletop game. And here they talk about the different types of scenes you could have. Conflict scenes are usually you're about to like fight something or trying to run away. Most of the time it's fighting. It is a JRPG inspired thing after all. And the interlude scenes are basically like your downtime type stuff or like your like long-term like exploration stuff. So it's your hot springs thing, you're like buying a bunch of new stuff, you're going across a large empty field with like cool music that plays while the camera pans over top of you. Yeah, scenes can be described as a book chapter or a theatrical sense. Yes. It's just like here's your general task you're doing. There's all that stuff. It doesn't matter what you're like how long it is. The beach episode, the hot springs episode. Everyone's always trying to strong arm and never strong foot. I always try to strong foot people, but not everyone's a defeat, so it gets kind of weird. I'm a jury main, so you know it's instinctual. And this is something that my boss at my work really likes to do, even in games that aren't like Fabula Ultima, which I think are fun sometimes. Game master scenes. You're not involved at all as players. This is basically like a cutscene where you're like seeing what like maybe the bad guy. Why is this? I forgot to zoom this in. I'm sorry. There we go. Game master scenes are basically cutscenes. Like you'll like zoom in. You ever play a video game where like you're like meanwhile and it cuts to like the villain's castle where he's sitting there monologuing to his servants. That's what the GM scene is. It lets you add depth to antagonists and stuff like that. Lets you foreshadow things, but your player characters are not involved at any time. You are simply a spectator. You know what's happening. Your characters just don't know what's happening. It just lets you be like, ooh. And then detailed sessions. Sessions, of course, are pretty much the exact same as in other tabletop game. They last around like 2 to 4 hours, sometimes 6 if you're crazy, sometimes 96 if you're like 16 in the spring break and you have no friends except for the ones that are playing tabletops with you, so you just go ham for a weekend. That fucked me up as a kid, bro. Not gonna lie, all that pizza and it was like wake up, play tabletop game, eat food, play tabletop game, sleep, wake up for like 3 days, 3.5 days. Never again. I can't do that anymore. I don't have that young spirit in me. I'm getting old. I'm almost 27. It was awesome at the time, but I know if I tried to do that now, I'd die. I'd explode. There's no recovery for me after that. That's me dying. I like the way they describe it though. They say like, hey, the concept of the game session generally end up being close to what you'd see in a single episode of a TV show. You explore a specific location or situation, alter it in some way, and then influence a larger overarching narrative. So basic stuff like normal tabletop stuff, but I like the way they describe it. Lets you put it in perspective easier. 27 is old, I'm ancient then. Listen, goblins live to be like 50 max, so I'm already middle-aged. I don't have long for this world. Grandma Goblin's doing her best. Also, I'm really sad. I dropped like half of my grilled cheese Sammy inside the tomato soup. Oh, I can't get it. I don't want to fish it out. I don't got like a spoon or anything. I don't want to fish out my fingers. And then campaigns are, well, a tabletop campaign. It's comprised of multiple sessions and stuff like that, where you like fulfill the narrative. There's no set length of campaigns usually. So like sometimes you want to be like, yes, it's a short ass campaign. Sometimes you're like, this is gonna last for 4 years. I'm gonna die. Although they do give out a little thing where it says, hey, approximately 20 to 50 game sessions. But there are rules to go and make it better and faster if you want to like have like a shorter game. Like there's a more faster progression, ways to level up faster. That shit sound like it tastes good though. It will taste good eventually when I get to it, but like I don't want to get my fingers dirty. I've got the autism that makes it so I don't like things touching my fans. And these are the important rules to look out for. Do you eat soup or drink it? You drink soup, well, obviously. This is chunky soup, in which case it's basically a stew when you eat that. But a lot of important rules are here, listed out right here for you to like look at. Creatures, allies, and enemies. Creatures include everything. Allies are your friends. Enemies are your enemies. Allies do not affect yourself. You are not your own ally. You're just Dave. Dave is not your ally. And you always round down, not to a minimum of 1, but to a minimum of 0. So you have to split a number in half due to like resistances or something like that, and so it's an odd number. You always roll down. Which, yes, that means sometimes if you attack something or something attacks you, they can just do no damage with an attack. Which a lot of tabletop games usually make it so they do at least 1. But no. Round down to a 0. Fuck you. And I do like this little helpful chart thing. I had to like take a screenshot of this and put this in a couple of chats I'm in. If you need to perform multiple operations on the same thing, PEMDAS be damned. Add things together first, then subtract, then multiply, and then divide. This barely ever will come up ever, but in the off chance you need to do all 4 things, that is the order you do it. You always add first, then you take away, then you multiply it, and then you divide it. PEMDAS can suck my entire dick. And then as per most tabletop games, specific beats general. So, like, as an example, normal player characters can equip 2 shields, but my character, who is a guardian, has a skill called dual shield bearer, which lets her have 2 shields and use them as a weapon. Here's my STEM student ass. Exactly. It was made to make you hurt. And then timing issues. This thing has come up a couple of times, not gonna lie. If like something has a like a timing or an effect that happens that can trigger other things, and you need help ruling how something triggers something and what goes first when what. If like you do all, if you're all by the same person, if everything's done from the same person, like as their source, that person can choose which order to apply them all. So if they're trying to like apply like a resistance to something and then a weakness to something else and then blow something up, they can do that. If that ever comes into like light to something that happens. And if it's between 2 different players, the players can decide together what they do. However, if stuff is controlled by players and others are controlled by your GM or NPCs, the players will always go first. Unlike stuff like Pathfinder 2nd Edition, where the monsters always go first with something. In Fabula Ultima, the players, like I said before, this is very player-focused, the players will always go first. And we're getting into characters and stuff. I have a character sheet up here we can go and reference back and forth to with stuff like that. You can see right here, you start with your name and pronouns, which is actually the last thing you do in character creation. You do all the shit first, and then you name yourself. Which is based because I never had to name my characters ever, and I always stare at the fucking top screen of my character builds and I'm always like, I need to find a name for this bitch, and then I never do. And it comes time for the game time, and I gotta be like, hey, Phoebe, we need to get your character name for promotional stuff, and I just go over to Fantasy Name Generator real quick and mash 2 buttons, and I'm like, Cassandra Grimbrand, and they're like, awesome, and I'm like, yeah, I put a lot of thought into that. I didn't. I couldn't figure it out, so I just generated it because I don't know how names work. But you start off with stuff like your traits. Traits include your identity, your theme, and your origin. Your identity is a short sentence that sums up your character's general concept. So, like, Sky Queen, the ones that they give out here is Sky Pirate or Queenless Knight. My one character I play on Sundays soon, she is a knight lady who was all fucked up. She was an ex-bandit that was pretty much brainwashed by a type of holy kingdom to go and fight for them as a way of repentance. And then they pretty much like used and abused her until she was able to escape and see the actual light. So her identity is tortured wall. She is literally just a wall of meat and metal. She has no fighting arm, just a giant shield strapped to her body, and she's in armor that she can't take off because she has no arms to do so. She is a fucked up wall. And although every time you level up, you can change your identity. This is not set in stone. As your character grows and develops as a character, as you have character growth and stuff like that happen, you can change your title. So if Tortured Wall is no longer fitting, it could be like Healed Lady. I'm just putting that in my ass right now, but it could be something like that. And then you have your themes. Themes are your strong ideals or sentiments that make you do things. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Why is your character shaped this way? They give us examples like anger, justice, and ambition. My character, her name's, like I said, her name's Cassandra. She's a fucked up night lady. Her theme is broken. And just like identity, it can change as you level up. When you level up, you can just choose your identity, like change your identity and your theme to be like, she's no longer broken. She's now hopeful. These are all like mostly flavorful. They don't have a whole lot of mechanical depth, as in like what stuff you can pick from, but you can invoke your character's traits to improve your odds when rolling dice. So, let's say like something involving like the Holy Kingdom that fucked her up happened. I will be able to maybe invoke the Tortured Wall thing I have to make me attacking them even better. Or perhaps worse, depending on how the narrative would work out. Being like, oh no, I invoke my broken right here, and she's gonna fucking collapse into a pile of like sadness and tears. And then origin, I should just say, it's just where you come from. Where's your house? What was your hometown? Where'd you grow up? Mine is the Holy Kingdom because I forgot its name. I'm sorry, Lucky, if you're here right now in chat. I forgot the name of the country you put in. But yeah, that's the first thing I do. It's right here at the top of your sheet. I'm a heavily traumatized war orphan. Of course I know what garbage is edible. Also, yes, Norman, I love that it is a horizontal character sheet. Lets me write out more stuff. I was like, listen, I can write. I have bad handwriting. I need to write big because I had learned how to write with a cast on my arm. Because I exploded it like a week before first grade. So I had a cast on when I learned how to write good. Which means I didn't write good at all, and my handwriting is still exploded to this day. I never learned how to write better because it hurts. My wrist hurts when I write stuff, so I'm just like, big letter, hurt less, fuck it. And it gives me more room to write, and I always love it. Also, look at this fucking art style, it's so pretty. Bonds. Generally, you don't start out with bonds. However, if you feel like that some of your party members would fit really well together to have a bond, you can go and put on your sheet. Bonds are just like exactly what a bond you think it is, just connection to a certain character, whether it's good or evil. Like if one of your party members, it's a good bond. Or like if it's an evildoer, you're like, angry bond. There are 6 emotions, 3 good, 3 like less good, that you can tie each different bond to. And you can use these bonds and traits, like you can use these bonds like traits to invoke them to improve your dice rolls or like boost your ability to help out your friends. You can only have up to 6 bonds though. So like you might not want to like you can be bonded with all your party members, but like if you have a big party, it's like I can only be bonded to 6 of them. Help me! I have a party of 8. Which one do I hate? David, you're not on part of my bonds. Fuck you. But these 6 emotions you have are listed here in checkboxes next to the bonds. There's admiration, loyalty, and affection, and then inferiority, mistrust, and hatred. These are the levels of how deep your bond goes. So you're like, I love Jimmy. Jimmy, I have loyalty to him. I love him the most. But David, fuck David, pure hatred, final tier. I hate that guy. I hate. Like you can like for each tier is a different strength of the bond. So admiration / inferiority is like the tier 1 bond, and then loyalty mistrust is tier 2. Affection hatred is tier 3. Tier 3. Oh God, I was trying not to sneeze. I think I pushed the sneeze away. Let me tell you of hate. Listen, I love I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It's fucked up. Ever played the PC game? Man, they're not tiered. Sorry. You could have like a bunch of them, I think. Oh yeah, if you hate. Oh yeah, I forgot. They're not tiered. I'm dumb. I can't read good. So you could have both admiration and inferiority, and have that be 2 bonds. But if you have like loyalty and inferiority, it's like 3 because it counts all of that. You could have them up to a strength of 6. My brain fucked it up. Sorry, Norman. You are correct. I should just read the book. It's right here. I completely fucking just skimmed over that again, and I was like, this is how it is in my brain. It wasn't right. Don't listen to me, kids. Leave the stream now. Yeah, the PC game is fucked. But I do like how Am is narrated by the author of what's it called? Of I Have No Mouth, I Scream. Ellison. Don't worry, the fun fact the PC version was impossible to complete for the German port until a few years ago. Why? Was it just broken for some reason? Yeah, no, I do love the fucking monolith of hatred that Am has, narrated by the author who just hates. Nimdoc was removed from the original German localization. I can see why, but at the same time, that's a good part of the game. It's a giant chunk of the game, and it's very important to the story. But I know I can get why, because Germany's not hold chill with the whole. I can't say that name or my stuff's gonna get demonetized. But like, I know why. But at the same time, I feel like that's a whole big part of the story. Is kind of yoinked out there. But yeah, no. You can invoke all of your traits and bonds and stuff like that, and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. I'm gonna invoke 17 things right here. Go fuck yourself, GM. It still really ever happen, but like, it can. And like I said beforehand, Fabula points is just you start with like 1 Fabula point, and you're like, hey, GM, I'm gonna fuck you up real quick. I'm gonna change the narrative. It's also how you invoke your stuff. You can change the narrative to be like, hey, I'm gonna introduce a new character here. This is Jimmy Jenkins. We were homies once in preschool, and he owes me a favor because of the applesauce packet I gave him. Phoebe, quick, a name for a bird. Binkle. But you can also go and spend your Fabula points to invoke said traits and bonds. You can just do it whenever, like some games, like City of Mist, you can invoke a bond whenever you want, up to as many as you have that would apply. This game you get to spend your Fabula points. However, you do get Fabula points kind of regularly. You get them back whenever you fight any type of adversity. So not just enemies, it could be like, we survived this really fucked up trap slash dungeony thingy slash we escaped this landslide, stuff like that. You can go ahead and give a focus point from that, and then you spend those for narrative changes and or invoking your bonds. And character level is interesting. Yeah, it was also a trap, and now I have to help the adventurers out and give them some Magic Factory's back doors. Exactly. I thought this 3 years, like 13 years ahead of time. I'm big brained. Never trust like an applesauce squeeze packet that was given to you by a goblin girl in preschool. Your debt will be paid eventually, whether you like it or not. Character level is interesting in Fabula Ultima. You start at level 5 by default. This isn't like D&D 5e where you start level 3 because there's fuck all to do for levels 1, 2, and like 3. You start level 5 because that's where the game starts. You start out as a character already having done some adventures together, which is called a prologue. We'll get to what that means later. But you start at level 5, and the max level is 50. Which might sound like a lot, and it kind of is. But you're generally leveling up, at the very minimum, every 2 sessions. Yes, the building block system, yes. So, like, no matter what, it's not like where you can, like, you ever play a D&D 5e game with a GM who just keeps you at level 4 for a year and a half. That's not how that works here. Max level for a class is 10. Once you reach level 10 in a specific class, you are you unlock mastery in it, and you get a cool mastery skill for it, but then you have to go and move on to other classes. Because a huge part of Fabula Ultima as a whole is multi-classing, asterisk. You start out at level 5 with levels in at least 2 classes, no more than 3. And the class system is kind of, it's hard to describe sometimes. I describe it as like, not skill trees, like skill packets, building blocks, as someone in chat said. Each named class, is more so a bundle of skills you can go ahead and take from, and then mush together from other classes to make your own actual individualized class you made yourself. So for Meatwall, which is the class that I named for my Knight Lady, she is 3 level. She's 3 levels in Guard, 1 level in Fury, and then 1 level in Weapon Master. Job points like Tactics. If you ever played Final Fantasy Tactics, is like that, yes. The Entropist Hero skill, Meteor. Is it just Meteor? I think it's called Meteor. It's just big fuck off. Should have called classes jobs. I feel like if they did, I feel like while it would work for the Final Fantasy themings, not everybody's played Final Fantasy, and Capcom might throw out the we'll sue type thing to you. I feel like classes, while it kind of doesn't fully fit the whole like what it is in fully. However, I feel like it's easier for people who've played tabletop games before to kind of understand, like, this is where I get my levels and shit from. But you do level up with 10 XP. That's what I love. Unlike games where, like, I went on a rant yesterday about D&D 5e and how you level up in that system, because the numbers get so absurdly large that I stop caring when it comes to leveling up. Because, like, oh, cool, I needed to get 200,000 more experience. This dragon I just killed gave me 65,000. That's a lot of math. I don't know how to do math. Math is hard. I play Pathfinder with a calculator on my phone open because I don't know how to do math at all. All right, like, math is hard, okay? This game, you get 10 experience, you level up. And no matter what happens in your session, you will at least get 5 experience. So no matter what, you level up every 2 sessions. You do. Also, XP is divided between the party, not fully. XP is divided by the party in one aspect. There are like 3 ways you get experience when you level up. Oh yeah, you're talking about DD5e, sorry. So yeah, 6,000 divided by 4. You're like, oh cool, I need 200,000 still. My brain was still stuck on Fabula Ultima. But yeah, no, Fabula Ultima, there's 3 ways you get experience. You get, it's starting to storm outside. I hope it doesn't fuck with my internet. Or my power. But D&D, not D5, damn it, I'm sorry to talk about it again. Fabula Ultima, you level up, you get 5 XP at the end of every session, no matter what, so you level up twice no matter what. If your GM uses Ultima points, which is the GM version of Fabula points, to go and make enemies harder, to go and fuck up your life even more, you get XP equal to the amount of Ultima points that are used against you. So say your GM used 3 Ultima points, and at the end of your session, you get 8 XP together, because you add the 5 from end of session, plus the 3 Ultima points your GM used to get 8 XP for everybody. And then, when it comes to Fabula points, you get experience for how many Fabula points you as your party collectively used that session, divided by the amount of players that are in your party. So if you collectively did like 6 Fabula points that session, and you have 4 party members, you'd split that and everyone would get 1, because remember, it rounds down. So you would split that 6.5, like you split that 6 in 4, get 1 point something, round down to 1. You get 1 extra XP from that. So you can theoretically level up every session. And more than likely, you kind of will, maybe. It depends on how much you're willing to go and spew out fantasy, like Fabula points, versus also how willing your GM is about to try and kill you with Ultima points, and then the 5 you get from every session. But yeah, no, what Norman says in chat, to put it simply, the more you use your Fabula points to modify the narrative, to give yourself cool stuff based on your bonds / traits you use, the more XP you and your friends will have at the end of the day. And also gives you an extra reward for your GM making your life harder. They use the ultimate point, you're like, oh, this fight's gonna be extra tough now. But since you overcame in the end, you get a little extra XP every time. So it pushes both you and your GM to go and move the narrative in different ways just to make you level up. And like, it makes you, encourages you to use, yes, it encourages you to use your hero points, quotations if you use the Pathfire streams that I have here, via the carrot method. You want that level up, go and fuck with the narrative more. Use the things that are in front of you. Don't hoard them. You can hoard them, by the way, but like, don't. He's sneezing. Yeah, don't hoard them. You can, but I wouldn't. Throw them out. Fuck it. Don't. I'm not yapping, trapping. I'm talking about fun stuff. I love to hear it. I like the yapping, though. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to be mean to me and bully me like always. It's me. Dark Annie the Toe Tickler. Oh my god. I forgot you. Oh, I forgot that was a name that I would see with my eyes. Don't. No toe tickling. If you roll a fumble, 2 ones on your dice, you also get a Fabula point. Yes. Overcoming adversity is how you get Fabula points, I should say, by the way. So you get Fabula points by overcoming any type of challenge, whether it's be a cool, like you fought against a really big enemy, you overcame like a hard like type of scene, whether it's like a landslide thing you also helped escape and do stuff from, or if you like super critically ultimately fuck up extra, which is like a crit failure. If you roll like 2 ones, you get a little Fabula point as a little like band-aid over the bullet wound. So there's a couple of ways to go and get the Fabula points, but you do want to use them because it gives you more experience at the end of the day, and also just helps you engage with the actual gameplay of the game. It's not just like it's not like, what's it called? It's really hard to like beer and pretzel style a Fabula Ultima game, because like the game is a lot of like it requires a lot of like energy and like effort output and also input from both the GM and the players. It's really hard to half-ass and just like, you're like, today we all had a shitty day at work, let's just go and roll some dice, kill some guys, have a good time, you know? It's kind of hard to do that with Fabula Ultima, where it's very much like you all influence every part of this game together as a story, and the game is built around that. Where the fan art of you at? I have a lot in my server, my Discord server, and all over my Twitter, probably. But yes, that is how experience and stuff like that works. And then we move on to the classes. This is where the game is really interesting for me as a player. Like I said beforehand, it's all about mixing and matching skill sets and abilities from these like classes in parentheses. I always put them in parentheses when I talk about them, because like they're more so like skill packets / building blocks that you can mash together to make your own Lego class you made together. And then you mash them together and you go and create your own unique individual class that you made for yourself. Like, my other character I'm playing is Mutant, Fury, and Darkblade, which have a lot of synergy over me being at like half health or lower a lot, and it makes you do more damage and hurt people more, and just be generally scarier. With every class, each class has 5 skills, I believe, in each one of them. And some of them have things called skill levels, which are indicated by like the amount of stars that like they're next to it. Like some only have 1 star thingy. I think it's like a star / diamond symbol. It's all over the place in the books. You'll see like, here's the star diamond thingy here for a skill, and then some of them have like, there's 5 of them, so you can take that skill 5 times, level it up. Inside the skill ability thingy, it would say like skill level in parentheses, or SL in like brackets, times whatever thingy, to make it a better like skill, like improved version of it. Like my shield lady has defensive mastery 2 right now, which gives her a bonus to her like defenses and stuff like that, equal to the skill level of it. So you just kind of mix and mash it together to go and make your own fun, wacky character, and I love it. We'll go over like in-depth character customization and creation in a little bit, but right now we're just gonna keep going with the other stuff. Attributes, we talked about this earlier. Attributes, there are 4 main ones: dexterity, insight, might, and willpower. Dexterity is how good you are at like shooting stuff, your finesse, your reflexes, how you dodge out of the way of attacks and stuff like that. But also how you craft things and then shoot stuff or use light weapons like a rapier or a dagger will use dexterity. Insight is pretty much wisdom from a lot of tabletop games, like, or like, I should say perception and like your ability to understand things or like reason with things. If you're like investigating a scene, you're like, I will use my insight thingy, or some spellcasters will use insight to cast spells. It also influences your magic defense, which I never really understood why, but I get it. You need to tie a stat to that somehow. But at the same time, yeah, might is your big chonkiness, how strong you are, how hard you are to get hit because of your chonky HP pool. It's basically your strength and constitution from other tabletop games mashed together into one thingy. Heavy big weapon hurt. Chonky HP. How do I resist poison? You bet your ass I do. And the willpower is charisma, your determination, your strength of your will. It's how you like, it's pretty much your like charisma skills tied to like casting certain spells and stuff like that. But it's willpower. So it's definitely gonna fuck you up if you're trying to like think of like it's weird because it's like kind of like wisdom-ish, but mostly charisma themed, but it's also called willpower. Hey, Son the Reaper. Yeah, we're talking about Fabula Ultima. Going over little thingy over it. These attributes fucked me up when I first started this game because like my brain was too used to like Pathfinder D&D style, where it's like, cool, I have a will defense, which is based off my wisdom, where insight is like a mixture of intelligence and also wisdom, whereas willpower itself is more charisma themed. I love that, Metalman. So what I'm understanding is to remember these attributes of Fabula Ultima. You just have to remember it heckin' Wimdy. Yes, wisdom, insight, bite, dexterity. I love that. I'm gonna steal that now. It's mine now. It's going in my pocket. It's mine. You can't get it back. And like I said earlier, each individual one of these attributes is represented by a die size that you choose during character customization. There are 3 sets of dice you could choose from, whether they be entirely jack of all trades balanced, one that is rude, one that's a jack of all trades balanced, like one that is more like leaning towards like a less well-rounded, more I don't want to say specialized because there's one that's hyper specialized. I want to say specialized. There is jack of all trades, specialized, and turbo hyper specialized. And these are all assigned a different dice size. Jack of all trades has each one of these attributes being a D8, which means anytime you need to roll something that has might, insight, willpower, or dexterity, you'd roll a D8 to go and represent that. The more specialized one has 1 skill at D10, 2 at D8, and then 1 at D6. And then, like the last time, whatever die is attributed to one of the attributes, then you roll that for whatever skill that is. And there's turbo hyper specialization, which is 2d8s. I mean, 2d10s, excuse me, and then 2d6s. There is no middle ground. You're either awesome or shit. I put that one on every single one of my characters. There's never a character I've ever played that doesn't use the 2d10s, 2d6s, because I like, fuck it, it's cooler in my brain. Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it. Lori sent me a thing? Fuck yeah, thank you, Lori. I will check it out in a little bit. In that, I mean right now. Yo! Gay panic. Ooh. Oh, that shit's fire. That's just Omega fire. Like, bro, what the fuck? That shit's Lori just sent me some amazing art. Oh god, I gotta show you nerds. Because Lori in chat, she used to be a goblin before she became what she is now, which I love new Lori a lot. But back when she was a goblin, she was shorter than me. And it was really funny because I was like, yeah, let's go with fucking the lesbian lift shit, you know? And so I had her. So like she drew this. At one point, this is old Lori on the left, Phoebe on the right. This is old Lori on the left, Phoebe on the right. Doing the lesbian lift meme. But Lori, ever since she changed to like, I don't know if you like if she fully, I don't know if she fully like said what it is now, but it's like goat eldritch creature. And she's really cute, but she's taller than me now. But I don't care, because I'm me. And you can see, that's one of my other outfits on like the left right here. You can see with like the different goth fit, and she's like, how about now, you little shit? And I just do the reverse on her, because I'm still on top. I might be shorter now, but I'm still on top. She is creature. I like the description of it. Thank you so much, Lori, for this. This shit's awesome. Back to Fabula Ultima. I forgot what I was saying. That took me right the fuck out of it. What was needed? God, what the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, no, I always turbo specialize. Fusion Kaiban activates my brain chemistry as it should. You know, you can have a balanced one of 4d8s, a more specialized one of a d10, 2d8s, and 1d6, or what I always do, 2d10s, 2d6s, one way or another. Let's go gambling! I will either be the best or the shittest. No in between. My one tanky character lady has her might and her insight as her d10s because that's full of defense and HP. Insight is your magic defense, and might is like her HP and also her main attack stat. While her dexterity and willpower are at a d6, so she cannot dodge out of the way of attacks easy, and cannot have like any MP, no mana. Magic and Kaiba done by Goblin Girl. That's why it's peak. That's why it's the best. However, as you level up at level 20 and level 40, you can increase one of those die sizes by 1. So if you want to turbo ultra hyper specialize, you can make that one of those d10s from the 2d10, 2d6s into a d12 while neglecting that d6. Or if you wanted to, you can keep your d10s at a normal thing and increase one of your d6s to a d8 if you're a coward. I have no cowardice in me. I am the bravest of them all. So, I got 2d12s, 2d6s, baby. I will die horribly or live the most. Who knows? It's all about the dice. But a lot of rolls will either call for you rolling the same dice twice or sometimes mixing matching the dice. Like my main attack on my tanky shield lady is 2 might dice for the accuracy of it. So I roll 2d10s in my case, and then go against the armor of an enemy, see if I hit them or not. Whereas if I want to use my taunt ability, my provoke ability, it's my might and also my willpower. So it's a d10, ooh, and a d6. Ugh. It's a little swingy or not if I get it or not, but if I do, yippee! So depending on how you set up your attributes and stuff like that can determine how effective you are with certain skills. I know I'm not the most effective when it comes to my taunts, but at the same time, I don't care. I'm big meat. And then I should talk about inventory points now that just come up right here. Inventory points is neat and interesting. You don't go out and buy potions and stuff like that and consumables with your dollars. You spend inventory points on them. If you ever played Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you know the feat Prescient Planner. I believe it's what it's called. Basically, you spend an inventory point to pull a random thingy that would be helpful out of your ass at any given time. So it's like you're assumed to have bought it the last time you were in town and stuff like that. However, it's really funny that you got the fucking Metal Gear Solid butthole pocket. Ow! Jesus Christ! Thank you so much for the 500 biddies. Also, ow! Get damage! Get damage! Get damage! It hurt. Not gonna lie, that hurt. Ah. Hey, that was all max damage. Good job. But yeah, no, I love how inventory points work because it's literally just you pull something out of your ass and you're like, yeah, this is a thing now. So like, say you need a ladder, you're like, don't worry, guys, I bought one at town, and spend like 2 inventory points to go and pull it out your pal. Shit, Lori, you can't do this. It's not gonna work. You'll never be able to hurt me in any way that matters. You have to pay extra for that. So you're just gonna like pull an entire ladder out of your backpack, and everyone's just like, yeah, that's normal. It's like, we're so fucking, ow! Oof. Ellie, oof. Bad, naughty. No hurting me. Medic derp wowers took all of your luck away. They do be hot. At least yours do. Lori's and Puyu's are kind of lukewarm. Hey, that was pretty good damaging, man. Oh, that green tea. I'm sorry about that. I don't know if that was from a stutter on my end because it's storming outside or something on your end that might have paused it, but you still got a couple of fun stuff, I think. But yeah, no, inventory points are amazing. I love the system in every game that it's in. I believe this is also in Blaze in the Dark. You're just like, yeah, no, I pull out this potion, this lantern from my asshole pocket that I totally had the whole time. And then HP, of course, is HP. It's in every video game, tabletop game, everything ever. How much meat you have to not get hurt with. And then mind points / MP / mana points is they say it's basically your focus and concentration. It's just your mana points, stuff like that. So use it to go and cast certain skills and stuff like that, and do rituals, do spells, use the taunt skill like I have. I call it my prison wallet magic. I lost my firepower. I gotta focus on other attributes. But Lori, what other attributes do you have? You got big brain. You got big booba too. That's another important skill, actually. When I pull a ladder out of my prison pocket, member. Return shopping is done, yay. Nice. We just are just now talking about inventory points and how shopping and stuff works. Oh, you got an ad immediately. No. Which has been kind of fucky with ads recently. And remember, if you do want to not experience any ads, you can, of course, always subscribe to me. Twitch right now is doing a big event for September's end, where every couple of gift subs you give out, Twitch will also give a free gift sub, sometimes even more than just one. Like my friend Melly, she got gifted 20 subs, and then Twitch gave her 37 extra, which is really neat. And there's also Twitch Turbo, which is just applicable to every Twitch channel you ever go on ever. And it's honestly more bang for your buck. I'll use my 5 mind points to activate my ultimate ability, cooking minute rice in 30 seconds. Defense and magic defense exist. Defense is basically your armor and stuff like that. If you have high dexterity, it's how you dodge stuff, or if you have a lot of armor and shieldings, then that's how it would represent that. Having high dexterity is really nice to have in this game, because as you level up and as you do stuff, your gear will eventually plateau in what you can just dodge based on gear, stuff like that. So if you don't have high dexterity, you'll be taking a lot of hits and stuff like that as you level up. But it's okay. You have a lot of HP and a big meat wall to go and hang out and hide behind. But dexterity is your main dodging skill that increases your AC / defense / whatever you want to call it the most. And then magic defense is, of course, your defense against magics. It's based on your insight. And it lets you resist any offensive magical abilities, whether that be attacks, debuffs, etc., etc. Ever played Pokemon, so that's your special defense. Initiative modifier is usually altered by your gear and stuff like that. Like my big chonky meat wall with metal giant shield, she has an initiative modifier of -3 because of her armor. Yeesh. But honestly, initiative is getting changed around, I believe, to where just players go first automatically anyways. So this is becoming less and less of an important thingy, I believe. Because literally initiative is just rolling, whoever has the highest initiative that you want to roll, will just roll their initiative roll with whatever modifier it is, and then see if they go first or the enemies go first, and then it's just a back and forth from there, so it doesn't really matter. So I believe they're making a rule for it where it's just literally initiative is just players always go first, and then it goes player, enemy, player, enemy, player, enemy, player, enemy, player, enemy, until both sides are deploy initiative all of their members. My players has an initiative of -4. Listen, it's rough for us big bitches out there. And then they talk about, I said it a little bit earlier with inventory points, but all of your equipment is everything you would equip that's just on your body. Anything that's extra like that, with you have like if you have like 6 different staffs in your pants, it'll go into your backpack. But single use items like consumables, like potions and elixirs, are just used by inventory points. I love Lancer so much. I want to talk about Lancer more, but most people aren't really interested in it. I've seen like it has this niche following, and there's a lot more people that are looking into it now recently. But at the same time, I want to talk about it more. But all my Lancer videos get like negative views because of it. I feel like more people need to see it and learn about it. In my open onion. And then the main currency of Fabula Ultima is called Zenit. It is your dollar. We went over checks a little bit before and earlier. It's literally just you roll dice based on your attributes, and you compare it to a relevant DC / whatever they want to call it. I've read about Lancer, but I haven't got a chance to play it. It's so good. I literally have the core rulebook right next to me right here. It's a big fuck off book, bro. Yes, legally distinct Zenny. But yeah, no, checks are just, in general, it's just you roll the dice compared to like a DC, and then that's it. Checks will always be rolling 2 dice, though. So you never roll a single dice for anything. You never roll anything more than 2 dice. It's just 2 dice plus whatever relevant modifier there is versus a set defense / DC. Like the attack roll with my shield lady is 2 might dice. So if my might is D10, I'd roll 2 might dice plus whatever relevant modifiers, and then I'd compare that to the physical defense of an enemy and see if I hit them or not. Whereas if I want to do my provoke ability, it's a might plus a willpower check, which is a D10 plus a D6 for me personally, plus whatever modifiers against an enemy's defenses. Hey, Sarandel. So it's basically the same as most every TTRPG ever. Roll dice, add number, compare to DC, succeed or fail. Although you don't have to roll checks for everything in this game. If it's like, if nothing ever explicitly calls for a check, you just kind of do it. You're heroes. You're expected to be able to succeed on most things. Hey, dipshit. Honestly, the only time I've ever seen somebody rolling more than 2 dice was a single time 10d6 to see what ingredients the chef class started with. Yeah, stuff like that. You can roll, like, rolling dice is generally more dice than that is generally used for like generation stuff. Like if you're trying to generate a world theme or like a character name, there's tables in this game for that. But everything else is generally just, hey, 2 dice plus modifiers versus thingy. And they go over here, like I just said, unless there's opposition that's capable or an immediate threat, all your actions will just work. You're like, hey, Jam, I want to do this. And then they're like, yeah, okay, that just work. That makes sense for you. You can climb that wall. Of course you can. You are made out of beef. Can I find this tavern? Yes, of course you can find the tavern. It's right here. Don't go rolling, like, trying to seek it out. And I do like how they go even further in depth in this section to talk about exactly how that would work. Like context and circumstances, like every table up game. If it's a normal, you're trying to cross a river and it's calm water, just walk across it. If it's like, ooh, spooky flood water, roll some might for me. But other than that, just kind of go across it. And then if you have a relevant background or a trait or like a bond type thing with it, you'd be like, hey, cool. This is my thing for my character. Can I just have this? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, get it. Chef class is in the natural fantasy book. It was in playtest for the past year or so. It is finally getting printed in Italy, so we'll get it in a couple of months / early next year in America / Europe in English. It's a natural fantasy book alongside stuff like the merchant class or the florist, which is a lot of plant stuff and cool stuff like that. I love all the expansion books. You only should roll to find a tavern if you're already drunk. No, I feel like if you're drunk, you have a sixth sense to find where other bars and stuff are. You're just like pub crawl, and that's like your hyper skill. That's your special skill you have, pub crawl. And then it even just says, hey, sometimes shit just doesn't work. You can never do this. And you just say, fuck it, no. It talks about something that I see a lot that people should put more in the tabletop because everyone, when it comes to improv and tabletop games, yes, and is thrown around a lot. But equally as important is no but. I feel like this doesn't get talked about a lot in general, but it works off of yes and as well. But it's like, hey, can I like jump from the Earth to the moon? No, but you could make a magical ship / find an ancient magical ritual to get you there. Like, whatever you try to do, you're like, can I do this thing? No, but you can do this instead. Like, can I be an immortal demigod hero in this game? No, but you can be that eventually. We can make you work towards it. You can be like the destined chosen one hero that's supposed to be like that, but you have to live up to that and become that eventually. Kind of like how Hercules had to go through the trials. You're like, cool, we can work with that. I feel like that needs to be talked about more in general. I'm glad that it's in this game right here. It's like, yeah, your players are really cool and awesome, but some things are impossible, but you can work with them to make it better. And they talk about if you fail a check, your shit gets worse. So if failure has no impact on the situation, just describe the outcome and fucking don't even just skip the check. Who cares? And like if your character isn't acting under any pressure, you can get it done. It should kind of maybe require time, but you'll get it no matter what. It's like taking 10. Also, I see I'm doing a techno fantasy Fabula Ultima game. Hell yeah! I like how even though it's techno fantasy, you can just use a lot of the stuff from that in non-techno places, like Mutant. I'm using Mutant in a game of like a pure fantasy isekai game I'm going to be in of, and it's just like, yeah, I have weird chimeric monster abilities. Like as I was isekai, I have monster stuffs. I can go and shapeshift my body into monster things. Whereas my one player who's a pilot has a armor he's made out of stone and runes to go and walk around in. Instead of just like a mech exosuit, it's literally just runic stone armor he's crafted together as he's a dwarf. Like, players fail to check so hard they cause Union Busters to be invented. No! Chimeric? Yeah, like a chimera. So, like, I can just shape and morph my body to be different monster parts. Like, I can make my arm into, like, a tail of a manticore to shoot spikes at someone. Whereas I turn my other arm into, like, a T-Rex mouth to bite someone and grab them. I'm just a weird monster hoe that can talk to monsters and just influence, like, do weird monstrous shit. She's really neat and fun. I like how the pilot can have a bike, Iron Man armor, or a mech. Yeah, I also like how you can just flavor those as other different things too. Like it's not hard coded. Like it is like you could just be like, yeah, this is my bike. He's a horse named Dave. And you're like, yeah, I'm a pilot, the horse. Ben 10 body horror type B. Yes. Originally, my character concept went a lot more further in depth into real body horror. But my GM was not comfortable with that type of stuff, so I was like, cool, yeah, we can switch that up. Because I'm not gonna make anybody uncomfy. That's not what I want to do. Because I love body horror stuff because it's my favorite type of horror. I'm trans, so obviously I like fucked up body horror. It's kind of like a whole shtick. But she was not a fan of it, so I was like, okay, cool. We'll swap it to like just monster abilities. Instead of just the Thing style fucked up. I still have like the sketch of the one of my art for my character beforehand. Before we switched it up and changed it around. Let me see if I can find it. Because like I loved her. She was really cool. And I still love my character that I have now. They just kind of changed, not in vibe, like a character, like thematic vibe. She still has the same themings from her, like, just in general, like the way she like thinks and feels about stuff, but like her look is very different. There we go. This is why she was originally fucked up body horror. She was like necromorph style fucked up body horror. Let me guess. A Simmons player in Vampire Masquerade? No, actually. I usually focus on Gang Girl and Bruja. But like, this is what my character was gonna look like before like we had to be like, actually, this is too much body horror for me. And I was like, I got you. I understand. I'll swap it around. What? Question mark? That's what I always like to aim. When I go with my body horror women, I want to be like, yeah, I'm scare-roused. Also, no, you're not a fan of 5e, but I made 5e Ben 10 class to play Intrusive over PM2. Ooh, that's neat. Kind of like, would it work similar to like how Pathfinder First Edition Shifter works? Question mark? Like, I was like talking about it on Twitter beforehand. Of like, hey, I want to make a second VTuber personality that's completely separate from this one for more other generic stuff. So not tabletop related. My tabletop stuff will stay Phoebe Bane, but my non-tabletop stuff will be like more horror and scary themed. And sometimes when I just hang out with my friends or play video games, I'll go and grab that. Maybe more of like, I just swallowed something bad. Ah. Oh, a fly fall. That was a fly. Ah. I gotta drink water. Oh god, that was awful. I just swallowed a fly. Ah. Ah, don't spray me. Ah, no. But yeah, no, my lady's gonna be all fucked up and weird and crazy and goopy. I want her to be more like the Thing style, like when it comes to like how they think, like hive mind style, where it's like, yeah, we gotta assemble all the flesh together so there's no more pain. But yeah, that's enough about me. Back to Fabula Ultima. Like I said before, when it comes to rolling stats, you get modifiers for certain things. So like certain attacks will be like, cool, might plus might die plus 5 or whatever. So you'd roll those two dice together, add up to a 5, add an additional 5 damage to it from your plus 5, and that's your damage roll. Ow! Thank you so much. Hey, I think we met our biddy goal. Thank you so much. I cast Mend Butt Cheeks now. I cast Reveal Internet History. Who's more hurt now? I can surgically remove my ass cheeks. You can't unsend your internet search history to your mother. She knows about all the weird stuff you look up. Why is there tentacle porn, Jonathan? You're not winning against me. I know too many strong spells. Yeah, that's what I thought. And then results are obviously your total of stuff to go and compared to a DC or displaced difficulty level, which is abbreviated to DL. If the result is greater or equal, it goes off the same as most tabletop games, then you beat the difficulty level. But when being called out, it was just a generic name I could pick up immediately. But also at the same time, I know what you are. And then you'll also see something called high roll or HR. If you're rolling for an attack roll, the damage is usually calculated based off the highest roll you made of your 2 dice. So if you roll 2d10s for your attack, 1 dice ends up with a 9, 1 ends up with a 5. The high roll would be a 9. And then you add that plus a specific modifier from the damage of the weapon to add up to whatever your actual damage total is. How generic. Not like that. It's just it's the most common name in America, okay? It's not meant to be rude or mean. It's just very, very much like everybody's named John or Jonathan or Johnny. You're there's 25 people I know my name. Exactly. Bro got named No. My favorite quirks from High Fantasy Atlas, Fettered Heart. What is that one? I only remember the open hand one from was it Fantasy Atlas or was it base? I don't remember. John NPC. Listen, okay, it's not meant to be mean at all. But like, there were so many Johns I know, including one whose name is just Johnny, not Jonathan, not John. His legal birth name is Johnny. And so a teacher would try to be snippy with him and be like, Jonathan, last name. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, actually, my name is just Johnny. Like on the birth certificate, it's just Johnny. There's no special, it's just Johnny. There's no Jonathan, it's just Johnny. Yes, on good night, and thank you for the stream. Thank you so much for stopping by, Arcady. Sleep well. Critical successes are neat and interesting. Critical successes, if you roll at least a 6 or higher on both of your numbers, then it's a crit success. PB, my big D&D group might be starting with PF2E. Finally, what class is most fun? It depends on what you like doing. Do you like supporting people? Do you like punching people in the head? Do you like using magic? Do you like Belmont from Castlevania? Do you want to be a demigod? Whatever's most fun to you thematically. It depends on based on like what you do. Is the thing, or at least probably part of the thing you're based on your entire identity, if you're on it, if not what you thought it'd be. You have a doubt theme. It's just really funny. Yeah, crit successes are neat and interesting. Thank you so much for the raid, Iris Erlin, and thank you so much for the follow. For anyone who's new here, I am Phoebe Bain, the Goblin Magus VTuber extraordinaire. I talk about all sorts of tabletop games like Pathfinder, Lancer, and today we're going over Fabula Ultima. Fabula Ultima is an amazing, fun time tabletop game based similarly around the storytelling of old school JRPGs. That's why you can see in the book cover on my body right now, it's TTJRPG. And it is a very fun game. It is not D20 based, it's a dice pool-esque type system based on Ryutama, if you ever played that game. Ow! That was one off max damage, damn. Yeah, no, they do this a lot. They like to hurt me. Yeah, critical successes are interesting in this system because you have to roll double damage, but like I said it wrong. You have to roll double the same number on each dice. Excuse me. So if it's but it has to be 6 or higher. So if you roll 2 2s, not a crit. If you roll 6, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, or 12s, it's a critical success. However, there are certain skills in the game that can just make it be any double numbers. I believe that is either in the Mutant or the Fury class. I don't remember which one it is. I think it's Fury, actually, now thinking about it. The Fury class has a skill that you could take that lets you critically hit on anything that is 2 of any damage dice. I just have to take damage dice. It's just like accuracy dice, excuse me. Which can be really hard to like happen in some instances because the dice you roll for every skill can be of different sizes. So if you're using like, if I want to crit succeed with my provoke ability from the Fury class, one is a D10, one is a D6. So I need to roll 2 D6s. So I need to roll max on the D6, then like a little above half on my D10 to get that to be a crit success. Unfortunately, I gotta head to work. However, I shall definitely play a poker your stream against time. Love the vibe and DD talk. Thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you again later. Have a good day at work. Ow! You can't pass power word scrunch. That's too strong. I'm already scrungly as is. Don't scrunch me, please. I just got to hear something about size difference. Listen. I was talking about dice size, but I am a goblin, so you can take it however you want. But like, as I was saying, some dice are going to be of different sizes, depending on what skills you have, what attributes you've put your dice into in character creation. So, it might be hard to get for successes, or easier depending on what skills you have. Yeah, take it however you want. I'm an equal opportunity goblin. I can go both ways. Oh my god, it looks like he's chalking a pool cue in there. What's that from? I keep wanting to clip that so I can make that into a funny animation, but I keep forgetting. You found her Fabula Ultima sheets? Hell yeah. And whenever you roll critical success, you create an opportunity. Opportunities we'll go over once we finish the fumbles. The fumbles are the opposite. Fumbles are when both dice that you rolled for a check roll a 1. No matter any of the modifiers, it will always be the worst possible thing. So instead of you getting an opportunity, when you roll a crit success, when you roll a crit failure, your GM makes the enemies have an opportunity. But whenever you do roll a fumble, or a crit failure, if you will, you automatically get a 1 Fabula point to spend as a little consolation prize. Like, yeah, you fucked up, everyone's gonna laugh at you now, but hey, here's a little token you can use to go and influence the narrative. So it's not always all bad. You just change the story a little bit, and you can change it a little more later with your Fabula points. And opportunities are interesting. Opportunities let you just twist the story in your way. So, like, you could just it just lets you twist the narrative. My players managed to fumble the first roll every boss fight. How? That's so unlucky. Of course, your GM can say that, hey, whoa, 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 that's too much. But sometimes you can just kind of fuck with things with your opportunity abilities. There's sort of Macastorm's shorts. I love his stuff. I was so surprised when I saw that he follows me on Twitter and likes my shit, because, like, damn, I get it, I'm a cute goblin, but at the same time, damn, bro. Your shit's fire. Everything's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. And they tell you what, like, the abilities are for your opportunities. There's advantage, affliction, bonding, faux pas, favor, information, lost item, progress, plot twist, scan, and unmask. A lot of these are just like, hey, cool. Bonding is neat. You can create a bond towards somebody or increase your emotion of one of your bonds, which we talked about earlier. Affliction is the one I use the most, I'm not gonna lie. Affliction I use a lot. It just debuffs the enemy in some way. Dazed, dazed, shaken, slow, or weak. These are all very powerful, like, status effects upon an enemy, so I use them a lot whenever I get an opportunity. Unmask is unironically amazing. Unmask is you just learn whatever goals and motivations of whatever creature you want. So you can, like, be fighting a main big bad evil guy and you get an opportunity, you're like, unmask, and your GM is like, man, I gotta tell you about his edgy backstory, his plans for world domination. Unmask is what you use when you want your GM to spill the beans on whatever character story thing you're doing. But if you're fighting against a bunch of mooks that don't matter, Affliction's always great to use. Lost item is fucking mean. Not for your enemies, usually. If you're fighting, like, a specific important NPC or a boss, it can be mean. They lost their staff of destruction somehow. Like, either got destroyed, lost, stolen, or left behind. But again, if you fumble, the GM can use this on you. And you can lose. Like, you're like, my god-killing super sword, no! It's not like that. Favor is also really useful when I use favor when I'm not in combat for succeeding on stuff, and then I use affliction usually in combat, because affliction is just this type of certain whatever it is, like certain debuffs put on your enemies. Favor is just like, hey, you earn somebody's support and admiration. Like, hey, cool, I fucking did a really cool, like, during a specific jousting tournament, I did really awesome. I got a quick success, and that got me the favor and some dollar from a cool noble woman who was there watching and got the lesbian boner going on. Also, it could be solved by becoming Two-Face from Arkham City. 2 guns, bitch. Dude, I love Two-Face in the Arkham games. I was really sad when he, like his talk when he gets captured by Batman in Arkham City, not Arkham City, Arkham Knight, once Batman's identity is revealed to everybody, and he's like, no, you're not Bruce. We all know you're really Batman under there now. Bruce was just the mask. We know all about that. He's like, Batman's like, ugh. Entropus is fucking mean. Entropus is a class we'll get to in a little bit. Entropus is a class that fucks with like time, space, and luck. They have a gamble skill, and they can do luck magic. Oh yeah, no, it definitely says like, hey, GMs, don't break everything, but at the same time, it could really hurt emotionally to lose, like, my father's sword, it was broken in twine, and I had to find a way to narratively put it back together, but make it stronger. Reforge your fallen father's sword. Make it even better to slay the God King, evil tyrant man, Jacob. I love that type of stuff because it's really fucky in the moment, but also leads to really awesome story moments later on. But yes, please don't spam it. Breaking your like players' items is on the same tier as killing your players' parents. You can do it every once in a while, like once every couple of games as a treat. But if you keep breaking and killing their parents every single time, or breaking their item every single time, they're just gonna stop having parents in their backstories. I like the thought of like Entropist in a similar vein to what you said, Rotok, but like an Entropist who's based on like Ladybug from the Bullet Train movie. Because like in the lore of it, Ladybug, or like the symbol for the Ladybug represents like bad luck, and like they'll have the worst luck possible until they're like someone tries to hurt them, in which case all the bad luck is transferred to the person trying to hurt them. It's like you live your life in a really bad luck with someone trying to hug you and they end up tripping and stabbing themselves. Like that little bad luck is transferred to them exclusively when you're under a threat. But other than that, you just have like a shitty bad day. And I love that when it comes to like luck abilities. Just like you can't manipulate luck all around you all the time. It's a blessing and also a curse. It's like the opposite of Domino, kind of, where Domino in Marvel is like just is very lucky. That's her entire abilities. Things just go right for her no matter what. Versus like Ladybug's is like, man, everything's going to shit until someone tries to stab me, in which case the knife bounces off my briefcase and hits them in the heart. And they end up killing themselves by accident. Like, it's that type of thing, and I love it. That's my favorite type of luck type shit. It's like, man got punched in the face, but he has to replace some guy who had to call in sick for a hit job and stuff like that. It's like, all this bad stuff's happening until he's under threat, in which case he's really cool now. I love that type of theming. Also, Plot Twist is really funny. Plot Twist is one of my favorites. It's literally just being like, suddenly, this thing happens. I'm M. Night Shyamalan, bitches. It was all actually a dream, and or in real modern day, and or the devil was the old lady all along. And or there sure was a lady in the water, I think. That was an M. Night Shyamalan movie, question mark? I don't know. It wasn't great. But those are all a bunch of the opportunities. When in doubt in combat, if you know what to do, Affliction's great. Out of combat, Favor is always great. Sometimes you want to use information. If you want to like find a clue or a detail in like a mystery you're trying to solve. But in general, Favor is great. And then here in this section, it just details how you go and perform all these checks and stuff like that. Like I said, you just roll 2 dice, add whatever modifier there is, compare it to the difficulty level /DL/DC if you play different tabletop games like Pathfinder or D&D. And then just compare the two, see if you crit or fail, and then just see whatever happens from there. Yeah, plot twist, the chosen one is actually the chosen evil one. He's the son of the king. He's gonna eat all the unicorns. And they talk about difficulty levels. If something easy, it's a 7. If something's very hard, it's a 16. Everything else is in between, kind of. If you're ever trying to figure out what a DC you know what to do, just go with 10. I like how it says it right here. Just go with 10. If you can ever decide exactly what a difficulty level should be of any type of check, fuck it. 10's good in the middle. Fuck it. Imagine how much meme you can be by fucking up space time with 2 dices. Exactly. Unicorn has to taste crazy. It has to taste crazy, though. Gotta try it. I feel like it'll taste like a horse covered in sprinkles. So generally very gamey and chewy and not great to eat, but also kind of like just weirdly sugary. You'll definitely feel. Oh, that's gonna be a mad tummy ache, bro. I shouldn't have eaten the horn. Of the time magic's the interest for me. That's fair. When it comes to interest, I'm more about luck and gravity type shit than I am the time stuff. Time has always been fucky with me. I've never really been a fan of time personally myself, but I do love both gravity and also luck, so it's always fun. Squabble eat a unicorn. That's a Squabble eat anything. That's Squabble's whole thing. You're supposed to eat the horde. I feel like I feel like in like lore, unicorn horns would be the same thing as kind of like rhino horns are in like our world, where it's like weirdly like people think it gives you big, huge boners. Like they think it's like a fertility thing if you eat the whole like horn off the unicorn and shit. Like, oh wow, this gives me double boner. Hell yeah. Some people call candy ribbons unicorn bacon. What the fuck is a candy ribbon? That's my business, not anyone else's. And they just talk about success and failure. If you succeed, yay, you did good. If you fail, bad. Oh no do-overs. Fuck you. You don't get to rule anything. Kill yourself. Dude, that's canon. We did that with Mirage Horns and Daisy's game. Hey, yo, really? For real? I love that, actually. And then if you want to invoke stuff using your Fabula points, you can invoke a trait to re-roll the dice. I did lie when I said there's no do-overs. This is a do-over, technically. The only time you can't invoke a trait to reroll dice is when you fumble. So if you roll 2 1s, you try to take that L, bro. You just gotta take it to the chin and move on. But other than that, you can be like, hey, 1 Fabula point. I'm gonna pick up 1 or both my dice and reroll that shit because I don't want to deal with that. It's a bad roll, bro. I rolled 1, 2, and a 1. I got that halfling luck going on. Oh, those sour airhead strip thingies. Ooh, I love those. I need more candy. Someone buy me candy, please. I like how they go, here's a giant fucking long ass line to be like, cool, I use my theme to reroll my shitty roll. And then they talk about the bonds here. It's different than invoking traits. Invoking traits lets you reroll your dice. Invoking bonds lets you increase the result of your checks and stuff like that. So you add whatever bond is there, like the level of bond up to a maximum of 6, I believe, to go and make the dice total more. So if the DC is 10 and you roll a total of 8, you could invoke your bond with like one of your friends who you're helping fight this guy to be like, hey, I have nothing but admiration and loyalty to my homie. That's a +2. That means I hit that check, right? That bond, bro, and then you spend a Fabula point to invoke that bond. Yeah, it has the power of friendship and also hatred, because there's bonds of hate with enemies, too. Inferiority, mistrust, and hatred. You can also have admiration and hatred. You're like, I hate that guy. He's so cool. And invoke that for a +4 in your check. You only do it once per check, but you can still just do it. So it's not just limited to your friendship. It can also be the power of hatred. It's the dark and light side. Yeah, you can't. They do say here, hey, just because you can, don't just invoke your bonds and traits all the time. If you want to use the anime bullshit power, don't fairy tale it, One Piece it. Exactly. I love pulling up every time I say admiration and hatred. It always ends up being someone in chat always says Vegeta, and it's exactly his character. He's just like, oh, I hate how cool and strong and muscular and delicious his abs are. I'm gonna go fuck my wife angrily now. You're like, hell yeah, Vegeta. You inspire me every day. And these are just going over different checks and stuff like that. Accuracy checks is when you're trying to stab a man. Use the accuracy, so you roll the dice of whatever weapon you're using versus the defense score of an enemy. And then if you're trying to roll damage, the high roll of the 2 dice you use, we talked about earlier, will be used for the damage. Dark Knight is so fun for bonds. Yes, exactly. There's a lot of hurting and friendship that could be held inside of that class itself. Like Darkheart from the Care Bears animated movie. Magic is the same. Attributes will depend on the type of magic used by your character. So whatever like relevant class you're using, whichever spells they work. So usually it's insight and also willpower, or willpower, insight. One of the mixtures of the two. And then it will show the effectiveness of the magic. Sometimes it's offensive magic, so it goes into the magic defense of an enemy. Sometimes it's like a buffing stuff, so it just kind of happens if you roll good. Stuff like that. Magic is more varied and depending on spells and different abilities. Hey, I give that. Whereas action check is just stab man, hit dice, roll defense, and roll against defense. Yes, hit, kill. And then opposed checks. Most games don't have these. Fabula Ultima fucking does. Opposed checks is literally you making the same check with no DC, with no difficulty level, but you do it against each other. So it's total accuracy thingy versus total accuracy thingy. So if you're both trying to race across this big obstacle course, see which one you use the coolest and strongest there is, roll me 2 might dice, and both of you would roll the 2 might dice, and whoever has the highest total gets the win. And then inside of opposed checks, if you roll 2 ones, which is a fumble, you get the lowest possible amount you could get. And if you get a crit success, you get the highest possible. So if you have your might dice as 2d12s, it would automatically be a 24. My net is nuking itself against it here. Have fun, everyone. Thank you for stopping by, John. I hope your internet gets better, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Part of me wants to see a setting in the system where, like, magic isn't a thing, but people could just stop earthquakes by punching the ground, Baki style. Hell yeah, fucking just walk through the glass. Thank you for the stretch, hydrate, and posture check. This gallon water bottle is not getting any easier to fucking drink. It's still heavy as fuck on my arms. What? I specifically got... What was that noise? What do you mean? They made me stretch and posture. Ah! That fireball was kind of like late. I don't know that was happening. We rip though? Maybe. We'll see. That was almost max damage. Good job, Luna Baroness. And then there's... Rude. Leave the head... Ow! You guys are... You got the same amount of damage. Nice. Ow. Why are you guys hurting me all of a sudden? You're gonna throw stuff at me. Throw bits and stuff. And that hurts me. Ow. But it helps me in this. Ow. Stop it. Oh god, no. I had to fucking log in. Ow. I gave you enough time to drink and stress. Yeah, that's true. I did. Y'all are mean and I don't appreciate it. I am doing you guys a service. I am showing you how tabletop games work, and this is how you repay me. You give me all of your nuggets right now. Head pats do no longer count. Head pats do not make me feel better. Give me all of your chicken nuggets and or chocolate and or dollar. And then maybe I'll be satiated. They talk about all the open checks and stuff like that. It just has no base level, but the result tells you how good you were. You can add modifiers, best situations, that type of stuff. Group checks are interesting. Group checks are checks you make together as friends. Kind of like aiding in Pathfinder 2e. I don't remember how aiding works in D&D 5e, but it might be similar. I give you 1 cheese. I'll accept. For now, I'll require more later. So as a leader, you choose, hey, that's David. Dave's our leader now. And then every supporting character performs a support check with a fixed difficulty level of 10. Fumbles and crit successes give you no opportunities, but just count as automatic failures or successes. It was a crafting system. Yeah, it kind of does, but not as like in depth. There's an entire crafting class, and there are like stuff in the Techno Atlas that have crafting stuff in it. I think, but I don't think it's like Pathfinder levels of like super crafting stuff. Yeah, no, the leader, you pick David as a leader, then everyone else gets to go and roll if they're trying to help out. And if they succeed against the flat difficulty level of 10, they give a +1 to your leader's check, and they add it all together. You can add your bonds to it. And then, hey, you add the stuff together as normal, and then the leader rolls it and sees how good they do. It's the friendship rolls. And I do like how they have like suggested checks for like everything. So like you're trying to do stealth stuff, dex plus dex. Avoiding traps, dex plus insight. You want to hit a man in the face, might. And we have clocks. Have you ever played every other tabletop game with slightly rules light systems, like Blaze in the Dark, and now in Lancer, it's an Icon, it's in Honey Heist / Comes the Fat Ass. It's in a lot of games. Clocks are good. It's a type of tracker to see how things are progressing as you do things. Certain characters will have skills and abilities that use clocks. Your GMs will use clocks a lot to determine certain things, like how much time is progressing as you're going through a heist to see until guards show up or something bad happen. If they talk about here, when a group infiltrates a guarded area, failed checks might fail a high alert clock. So it might have like 6 pieces on there, and every single time they fail, it adds up until they make a full clock, in which case the guards are on alert, and then you get ring, ding, 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 and then fight everybody. Clocks normally have 4 to 12 sections. I do like how they talk about here, when a powerful sorcerer performs a world-altering ritual, a clock named Arcade Apocalypse can be used to represent how much time is left to stop him. And it's just how much time, every time you fail something, you move the clock down a little bit. Or it's also used in combat for really creative stuff. It's also used in rituals and things too on the player side. Like if my one caster friend wanted to go and wanted to teleport a house on top of somebody, they'd need like a 6 to 8 section like clock to go and like tick it down that many rounds until the house gets to teleport on top of the big monster enemy. Or like you're trying to you're fighting the enemy in conventional means is not working. Let's try to collapse a building on top of them by breaking support beams. And so you'd have a little clock, like a 4 to 6 like little tick clock that causes the enemies, like the roof, to collapse on top of the enemies and stuff like that. So you can like keep track of how weakened the ceiling is, and then once you fill the whole thing with everyone doing checks against the pillars and stuff like that, in which case the monster will be crushed and stuff like that. Clocks are very fun in a lot of rules like games. I love that more tabletop games are using them. They're really fun. They add a lot of depth and interesting stuff you can do while still being able to like mechanically track it and do stuff like that. I highly recommend using clocks in just about every tabletop game for the most part. Even games that like aren't directly supportive of it with rules wise, like Pathfinder D&D, I still think clocks are a great way to track both time and also like effort made towards something or another. Man, I really want to play this. Finally live out my anime dreams. Good. My existence here is to inspire others to go and try things out and have fun. It's like victory point system, just abstracted to a system that actually works. Yes. And they say advancing a clock, like I said beforehand, fill one section on a success, fill 2 sections on a like crit success, Or if it's a bad clock you don't want to fill up, you fill 1 on a failure, fill 2 on a crit failure / fumble. There are also things that let you just turn back the clock with some stuff. Like if you're trying to put out a fire and the clock is progressing, but the more you do, like the clock is progressing, like every time someone fails and something like that, but every time you succeed, you erase a number and like a little piece of it instead. So it's you fighting against time and also just things collapsing around you as you try to put out this fire that's bursting through a town. And so when you finally reach on pixel art later on with the equipment, everything is pixel art and it's awesome. Thank you for the blessings. I hate sneezing. But yeah, no, clocks, they talk about here how versatile clocks can be. You can use them as giant overarching events and stuff like that, to have like a big clock behind you as a GM, to be like every time something happens, that would further the enemy, like the big bad evil guy's goal, just fill in one section of the clock to scare your players once every couple of sessions if something doesn't go right. Or like in the middle of conflict and like combat, so like that, chases, battles, audience levels and stuff like that, just filling in clocks during stuff. Like this part, like they talk about here, you can have a duel between 2 characters with 2 clocks, like 1 for each character, and the more they go through stuff, like whoever reached their clock at the very end first wins the duel. Or like if it's a chase that's happening, you bust up the clock and you try to like go and like see who gets to go in. If you go and make the clock all the way around, then you can go and win the chase. But if the enemy makes the clock down at a 0, you can go and win the chase, stuff like that. It's a very versatile system and I love it the most. Exactly, Luna. Moving the clock hand without having to elaborate why. You're like, cool, we did a thing. Oh no, part of this town exploded. Fuck, we fucked up. And you see the GM go behind him and fill in a section of one of the clocks, and everyone's like, oh no, oh god. That's just the most fun. Clocks are awesome. They're really good for like setting the pace and applying pressure to your parties, and it's really fun. And here they talk about bonds again. We already went over most of the bonds. I'll give you a little refresher here. Bonds are something you can attach to like enemies and or friends, usually friends, but sometimes you have like a rival, like an evil bad guy. My bond with the main big bad evil guy is hatred because he killed my mom and ate my sister. And stuff like that. Persona intensifies. Listen. Each bond may feature up to 3 emotions from the following 6: admiration, inferiority, loyalty, mistrust, affection, and hatred. We went over all these beforehand. And the 6 emotions are combined into your pairings. They can only be chosen by 1 emotion from each pairing. So when you have admiration to somebody, you can't also have inferiority. If you have loyalty to someone, you can also have mistrust. If you have affection with someone, you can also have hatred. But you can have inferiority and affection. You're like, man, I love David. His dick is so much bigger than mine. so your bond is affection and also inferiority. Every curse thing you say makes me want to make a Black Soul Fire game over. What do you mean? What curse thing am I saying? Oh, you know David's packing. God, you don't fuck your friends? How can you really be homies if you haven't had sex with each other beforehand? This is a JRPG. It's either a harem game or like all of your friends are dying. What are they? Choose right now. Homies or death. I am loyal to my king. I don't have to like it. Exactly. So that, yeah, ate my sister. Sometimes someone eats your sister. You ever see the Blob with what's in the Ultimate Marvelverse, like the Ultimate Marvel universe, where the Blob ate what's the name? The Wasp in front of Ant-Man, so Ant-Man turned a giant man, turned big, and ate the Blob. It was fucked up and really bad. That entire series collapsed in on itself and sucked really hard. Remember when the sister and the brother did the do in front of Wolverine? And then Miles Morales is the only good part of that the entire universe, so he got moved into the main 616 universe. Man, fuck Marvel Ultimate. Ultimate Marvel sucks so hard, bro. But yeah, you can create a bond with a person either through resting scenes, which is like we talked about beforehand, where you're like, yeah, cool, hot springs episode, beach episode, let's fucking go. Or through opportunities in like in the battle, like we said earlier, one of the opportunities is you just create a bond with someone, whether it be an enemy and or a homie. Listen, I didn't want to think about Ultimate Universe. You guys reminded me of the Ultimate Universe when you made me restate that I ate somebody. I do like how it has to specify that you cannot have a bond towards yourself, but you can have a bond towards a kingdom or an organization. So you can be like, I have a bond with the Thieves Guild because they taught me everything I know after my parents got eaten. But you can't be like, I have a bond with myself because, listen, okay, nobody else wants to bond with me. And then you can just change emotions during resting scenes too. So you're like, man, I love David so much right now during the fucking Hot Springs episode. So you're like, man, me and David, we jerk each other off in the locker room. So now our bond is strengthened. I have admiration towards him. I'm enjoying a Fabula Ultima game if I had time. I lucked my way into 2 actual plays of it. Have bonded yourself because Disco Elysium isn't a JRPG. I forgot about that stuff. You know, I always forget that Disco Elysium is a thing until I think back to the fact that you can die after character creation due to like just dying of a heart attack due to an uncomfy seat. Why are you saying huh like that, Luna? I do love right this section right here is very cute. I love this part at the end here about bonds. Bonds are stronger than death. Even if a character dies, an organization is like burnt to the ground, a nation is wiped off the map, you still have that bond there until you choose to erase it. Because you can only have 6 bonds at once, and you have to erase any of them if you want to have more. You have to explain how or why. Man, did I just hear how I fucked my way into 2 games? No, I lucked my way into 2 games. I was approached by 2 separate groups of people who were like, hey, Phoebe, you're really cool. And I'm like, am I? They're like, yes, come here. And I was like, oh shit, I am cool. Which is how every single tabletop game I'm a part of ends up happening. I really love how bonds are stronger than death. Because you have to be like, hey. I like, yes, they're no longer here, but I don't want to erase this bond on my character sheet because I love them the most. Thank you, June Julie, for the raid. Oh, I can't talk right now. No. Sneak attack raid, let's go. We're talking about Fabula Ultima right now. Yeah, bonds are a way to get you even more into the story of the game, as well as like just detail your relationships with certain places and people and let you influence the game via invoking your bonds with your Fabula points. I love the bond system. I love the clock system. It's a good game. Good fun time game. Oh, thank you for the headband. Talk about conflict scenes here. Conflict scenes are just like, hey, battle, chase, duel. They talk about here specifically that you should not just use conflict rules for every single thing, only for the most dramatic things that change stories, something like that. You don't have to just go and be like, cool, you walked 2 feet in your world, here's a random encounter. You don't have to do that. And you should instead draw inspiration from like movies and comics and video games for how they handle pacing. Yeah, I'll use my Fabula points to reroll, hit the BBEG, and I'll just fight with my hate inferiority bond to the dead character of the party because that fucker didn't sacrifice himself for nothing. I can't hit this bitch better than he would. Yeah, like that. You can invoke the bond of a dead man in order to make stuff better. Like, just because they're dead doesn't mean they're not there in your story still. You still remember them. They're still a part of your heart. You will never forget them, ever. And then there's a flow chart of like, hey, here's how shit works. And they talk about goals and all the conflicts and stuff of work. Initiative we talked about earlier. It's a group check, which we also talked about. So you roll dexterity and insight on the group check. You pick one person to be your main insight roller, and you can have your homies try to roll better to go and give a bonus to the initiative. And then once the guy rolls the initiative, you go and compare it to the enemies and see who goes first. Afterwards, it's just a back and forth. It's kind of like popcorn initiative in a way, almost. So you determine who goes first, either you or your enemies, and then they go. And so if the enemies roll higher, than you, then they go first. One enemy goes first, and then you choose one of your allies to go. Then another enemy goes, then one of your allies, then an enemy, then an ally, then an enemy, then an ally, until there are no people left on either side. In which case, the next round happens. Although I do believe that they are going to be simplifying initiative in a way where it's just literally the players go first no matter what, because people get confused about how initiative works in this game a lot. So it'll always start with you go first, then one enemy goes, then one of your party goes, then one of the enemy goes, one of the party goes, etc., until there's no one left, and then in which case you just go to the next round. And then rounds and turns are, of course, the same as every other tabletop game. You take your turn, and then the enemy takes their turn, and then once everyone's done with their turns, they do a round. And if there are too many, like, so if you have like 3 people on your team and then 5 enemies, it would be you, NPC, your friend, NPC, your friend, NPC, NPC, NPC. And then in case it goes back to the top of the round because they had more people than you. What was it? Guardian lets you take damage for a buddy. Was it Bodyguard? I don't remember. Because there's a couple of them that have very similar names that would be very thematic for it. I don't remember what one of them lets you be like, oh, me. Let's just take the attack from them. Drinking so much fucking water. I love it. It was protect. Ah, damn it. It was one of the. There's a lot of them. Okay, protect and bodyguard. I feel like are very similar. And then spaces and distances. This is like a JRPG. The distance does not matter. Your space does not matter. This is not a tactical game in any ways. Like unlike Lancer, Pathfinder, D&D. Your distance between you two does not matter unless it like thematically makes sense that you cannot hit them with a melee attack. So like a melee attack can't hit a flying enemy, but only a ranged attack can. So, but like it doesn't matter how far you are from an enemy, you will make it there and you'll hit them like a JRPG. It's more cinematic than it is like tactical, I should say. It's really just how that works. I really like it a lot. Look at how cute this is. I fucking love the art in this book so fucking much. Soaring Strike spell will hit an enemy with a melee. Yeah, but it's a spell. But who cares about spells? I'm a big beef monster. I don't got magic. Magic's for chumps. I'm cool. I'm the jock. You're the nerd. I do like it says here, like, hey, okay, but what happens if like something like distances and they're supposed to play an important role? Fuck it. Who gives a shit? Like play the game strengths, avoid situations with suspension of disbelief becomes too strained. If you want to introduce distance as an important element of the game, treat it as a puzzle, like to be solved in creative ways while conflict is progressing. Like make a clock. Use a clock. When in doubt, if something's kind of weird with the rules, make a clock for it. Fuck it. I throw rock at bitch. Thank you for the head pat. And then when it comes to actions, you have in action, and then you have minor activities. So like, yeah, you can do one single action on your turn, and then you can do a bunch of minor bullshit beforehand too. You can do a bunch of them. Generally, you can squeeze at least one in. Your GM could be like, hey, whoa, buddy, that's 13 different minor activities. Nuh-uh. Basic minor activities involve like picking shit up, rearranging your equipment, throw something to somebody, like unlock a door or flip a switch, something like that. But if something does require an entire check to use, then that will be your entire action, generally speaking. Like the main actions are attack, you smack a bitch, or shoot a motherfucker. Equipment, you move around your equipped stuff. Guard, once per turn, just kind of put your shield up. You resistance to all damage, bonus to opposed checks, get cover, and cover other people. Can throw my friend at an enemy. Can I hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker? Maybe. I'm not super versed yet in the system. I'm still learning it as I go. So I don't know exactly how much of out of balance a rare magic item that gives you an extra action is. I'm not super in-depth knowledge into it. The highest level I've ever been in this game is 10. So I haven't really gotten super into like the actual advanced cool super stuff yet. I haven't looked at it super much yet because like I haven't had a reason to yet in my experience. But I probably should now that I think about it, now that you asked that question. Hinder just lets you fucking beat the shit out of a guy and give him a debuff. Inventory lets you use inventory points to go and pull out potions. Objective just lets you move a clock forward with something you're doing. Spells are casting a spell. Study is trying to get information from an enemy. Skills are letting you use one of your skills. And then other is just, hey, GM, I want to do this thing. Cool, that's your main action. So like you're like, GM, I'm gonna try to get across this raging river, and you're like, cool, that's your whole action for your turn. You're gonna need to roll 2 might dice to get over. And you're like, cool. And then my main activity is to go and, I don't know, like just grab a branch. Question. I didn't think this analogy through. We already written over attacking. It's accuracy check with your weapon / whatever you're using to hit somebody with, whether it's your fists, weapons, something like that, versus the defense of your enemy. Some things like use free attacks, like the I don't remember what the name of it is, but there's a weapon master a skill that you can get. Lets you just get opportunity attacks. So when an enemy misses you, and one of the dice they roll was an even number, you get a free attack against them. Multi certain abilities, like the weapon master has one that's given multi property that lets you choose 2 different creatures for a thingy. So you do like a whirlwind spin, like a Legend of Zelda. Woo wee woo. Ooh, fabulous. Some friends and I are looking into this currently. You should. It's really fun. How am I feeling about it? It's awesome. I love it so far. It's one of my favorite systems now. My favorite systems go Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Lancer, Fabula Ultima, but Fabula Ultima is kind of rising up. It was counterattack, yes, thank you. The also lets you hit more dudes with 1 attack. So you perform a single accuracy check against the defense of 2 dudes or 3 dudes, whatever the multi is. It would say multi parentheses number. Thank you for the hydrate. Oh, I bit my tongue. Ah. I bit my fucking. I didn't want to bite it. You made me. You made me bite it when you made me pull out my jug, and I bit my tongue. I hit my mouth. And then 2 weapon fighting lets you just have, if you have 2. They have to have the same category, so it's 2 swords, 2 guns, 2 whips, stuff like that. If you have 2 weapons, the same thing. You can be like, cool, I'm gonna attack with both. If you have the multi property on one of your things, you just lose it automatically because that's too strong. And then whenever you roll damage for your attacks, your high roll is always gonna be 0. But you do get to apply 2 whole attacks, so you can generally get more damage out of it, maybe. I like two-weapon fighting. There's a lot of skills that make it even better, but baseline, it's okay. There's a really fun, I'm trying to remember what, I think it's Fury ability called Monkey Fist or Monkey Grip, based on like the Pathfinder / D&D 3.5 ability. Let's just use a two-handed weapon in one hand, so you can just dual wield two giant swords, like two great swords or two hammers and stuff like that. Get that John Henry going, bonk, 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 bonk. And they just talk about the guard action right here. Like I said earlier, guards, you get resistance to all damage. You get a +2 bonus to opposed checks. You can also cover one of your friends who's next to you, which means they cannot be targeted by any melee attacks. You have to go through you. And even if you have like skills that you just guard for different things, you only guard once. You can't get double resistances. You can't get +4 to your thing. You can't guard two different dudes. You can only guard once per turn. And benefits will never ever stack. And then Hinder. Hinder is cool. It's just you make a check against a flat difficulty level of 10 and see if you can oppose a specific debuff. Usually it's either dazed, shaken, slow, or weak, your choice. I love the debuffs and stuff like that. Giant grip, two-hand fighting, swing, two bastard, great swords around is so funny. Yeah, no. The idea of just being able to dual two big fuck-off things as a really small dude is really funny to me. Like a goblin holding two great swords, being like spinning in a circle like a fucking lawnmower. It's like whee with their arms outstretched, killing everything, fucking Dynasty Warrior style. I almost said Destiny Warriors. Oof, I can't talk. Bring me out two great curved blades in the circle, Beyblade. Picking up speed, don't remember the rest. Inventory is also, you should literally just pull out your back, like a thing. If you just you spend inventory points to be like, cool, I grab a consumable I totally purchased. Fuck you. And you can just pull stuff out with your backpack. If you have both hands occupied, fuck it. You just reach into your butt with your third arm and just take the other thing out. And then objective is just you pushing a clock forward, like we said. You just explain, hey, GM, I want to do this thing to make this thing happen. So if you're trying to knock down a pillar to go and make a ceiling collapse on top of your enemies, you're like, hey, GM, I'm going to go and try to use my full body force to run in and like shoulder check this pillar to make it knock over. Your GM says, cool, I'm giving you a might check. And then if you succeed, you can move the clock forward. And then eventually, once the clock is hit, Rachel racks something, the clock resolves, and you do all the effects that we talked about earlier. Spells, you cast a spell. Study lets you just go and, hey, dude, use double insight to go and read an enemy, see what makes them tick. Give me a hint about something important, whether it be like an enemy or like something around you. Like a location you might need to know about. You're like, cool, I need to study this thing. And it'll tell you, based on this level of your skill you do, the result gives you a little bit of information or not at all. I do love if you get 16 plus somehow. Like if you roll like the 2d10s, if you have like a d10 in your insight and you roll like a 16 plus, you learn, and I quote, literally everything one could possibly know about it. That is now your autistic hyperfixation. You know literally everything about this. You know every single bit of frame data about Bridget from Guilty Gear. And then skill, you just have to use one of your skills if they have an action thingy inside the skill. I'm working on with my friend to take Fabula module and mix it with PF2E homebrew and make a really cool Final Fantasy campaign at the moment. We're having a lot of fun putting together Fabula, such a freeform module to work with. It's a really fun game. I like it a lot. I'm going to be up in 2 different actual plays soon. I'm going to be on Saturday and Sunday in the next couple of weeks. I believe our Sunday one starts in 2 weeks-ish because my GM's computer literally just exploded. We were supposed to do it this week. This is supposed to be tomorrow, but his computer literally exploded like 2 days ago, and he has to get a new one, and it's not going to come until the 3rd of October, so we're going to do it on October 6th, I believe. If everything goes right. And the next couple of weeks, where our GM is going to go, and our GM for the Saturday game is going to be finishing up maps and doing stuff like that. We're going to go have our sessions with that soon as well. And then we have teamwork, which is just group checks again. Like, say you want to throw like a potion to somebody, you do some stuff like that. This is exciting. The campaign's on the exploding computer. Yeah, no, stuff happens. And like any conflict is just, when you resolve a thingy. Once people find an agreement, there's no conflict anymore. Once everyone's dead, there's no more conflict. Once you escape, there's no more conflict. Stuff like that. And this just goes over all the different stuff for even more clocks. There's just a bunch of examples. And these are some little alternate optional conflict rules. I'm not going to go in depth into these yet. We only have like 40 minutes left in stream, question mark. So right before we talk about HP, I'm going to go and run to the bathroom real quick. I will be right back. Please be patient. I have arrived. Sorry about that. I had to go pee. Oh, shit, I got rated. Hey, thank you so much for rating. Sorry I missed it. I was in the bathroom. Yeah, now I'm an MP. You got HP, you got MP. HP, your meat points. MP, your brain points. HP is just, you have a bunch of HP. Your crisis point is half of your HP. So once you're in half of your character's max HP, you're considered in crisis, which means you're like, oofy, you're bloodied if you ever played D&D 4E. Although some effects work a lot good if you are in Crisis. So a lot of Dark Blade stuff, a lot of Fury stuff, some mutant stuff works based off just stuff like that. Works if you're at half health or less. So the more hurt you are, the more cool you are. And then there's even special stuff that happens when you hit level 8, when you hit 0 HP. You don't just die and stuff like that. There's a bunch of other stuff that happens, which will be detailed later on in the bit. And then mind points is just you use these to go and activate your skills or your spells. Like some spell will be like use 60 mind points to explode that man's whole ass. And then there's stuff that's like my taunt where it says use 5 MP to go and taunt a man. It really depends on the skill and or spell you use, but this is how you use a lot of your abilities like that. I can't wait to tell my players, no, having to make a doctor's appointment via phone call does not put you in a crisis state. It does. It's the worst. And in 0 HP, if it's an NPC, most things are dead and or captured and or forced to flee or knocked unconscious. It's just like whatever fits thematically. It's whatever you're doing. Villains, which are main battles, is the main antagonists. There's two options whenever a villain, like a main antagonist, whenever you're Proto Man, you're Dr. Wily, they either surrender or they escape. Now, escaping is mean. But they can use ultimate points to just disappear. So if your gym just has ultimate points sitting around, they can just use that to go and poof away, and they escape. They and fly away, and you're like, damn it. Or surrendering, they should be like, no, I'm good. Dr. Wily at which is the game that Mega Man tries to kill Dr. Wily, but Dr. Wily's actually a robot in disguise. One of those. But if they have no ultimate points left, and they can still try to escape by escalating. Escalating just turns into a super evil, angry, evil death mode. We'll get into that in a little bit. Player characters have two choices when you get to 0 HP: surrender and give up, or sacrifice. Surrendering and giving up is exactly what you'd imagine. You're just like, oh, I can't fight any longer. I yield. I could not mash hard enough in Metal Gear Solid 1, so Meryl has to die. And then sacrifices, yeah, I'm gonna fucking die real quick. It's really funny. But it has to be very thematic, it has to make sense. You have to do, there has to be at least 2 of these 3 criteria to happen to go and actually sacrifice yourself. You can't just sacrifice in the middle of a bunch of dumb mook enemies. You should be like, fuck, I give up. If there is a villain present in the scene, if your sacrifice would benefit any character you have a bond towards, and or if you believe your sacrifice would make the world a better place. If 2 of those 3 things are checked off, then you can be like, hey, yo, boss, I'm fucking dying emotionally and dramatically for the story. You have to go and you and your GM come together to be like, hey, here's how I narrate my horrible heroic demise. There is no fixed limit on what a sacrifice can accomplish, and you're supposed to. In the books, it says right here, you can and should go overboard. You gotta go the most anime-ass, over-the-top, stupidly awesome way of sacrificing yourself possible. And if you do choose to heroically sacrifice yourself, 9 times out of 10, you are not allowed to go and be revived through any other means, like through magic, through rituals, through anything like that. You are not allowed to be brought back to life. Because you are at peace. You decided to do this, and now you think the world is a better place because of this. You are at peace. This is not a bad way to go. You go beyond, plus ultra, etc., and explode yourself all over them. You gotta die for the narrative. Yes. Like what's it called? Like if you're fighting an evil enemy wizard who's about to go and like open up a portal to turbo death hell and you're gonna just plunge the world into eternal darkness. You just fucking full body check them. You just tackle them out of a window off the top of a tower. You ever watch? You ever like read Sherlock Holmes and or watch the second Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. where like Sherlock Holmes just grabs Moriarty and just chucks himself off the cliff? That's not spoilers, by the way. That book is a couple hundred years old. I feel like that's outside of spoiler territory. That is legitimately over 100 years old. I'm allowed to spoil that. I feel like that's a heroic sacrifice right there. It's be like, well, the main big bad evil guy, there's no way I can physically beat him. I can't outsmart him because we're of the exact same physical and also intellectual ability. Fuck it. I'm taking you with me, motherfucker, and just diving off of a cliff, grabbing onto him so he's forced to die with you. That is a heroic sacrifice I will always accept. Especially in the movie, by the way. The movie version's so awesome. I love it the most. They do the whole fucking fight scene thing, evil friend. Sherlock Holmes knows for a fact that he can't beat him. Moriarty's like, I'm gonna kick his ass. And then just like jump off cliff. Ah! Moriarty's screaming and be like, ah! While Sherlock Holmes just has his eyes closed, at peace with his end. It's perfect for this. Jill the Wesker out the window. Yes, Resident Evil 5. Ugh, why'd you bring that back up? But yeah. Boo Saga Vegeta, anything like that where you can't be a rock back to life, but like anything like that where you are at peace with your own death, and you like bring the thing that's important to a screaming bloody end, and you're just like acceptance. You're like Gears of War 3, where Dom, in order to stop all the Lambent from getting to all his team, knowing that he has nothing left because his what's it called? Because his wife died in the previous game. So he's like, cool, I know how to help my friends in a way that will actually help them. I'm going to go and drive the tanker into a thingy and explode it. Killing all the Lambent and also myself. Just closing the eyes, thinking of your dead wife. You're going to meet her now. Flip the thing. You ever watch Mad Max Fury Road? The car thing where Nux just on a fucking wrenches the wheel. That's that. You have the heroic sacrifice. I spoiled like 9 things here. I don't care. If you need a heroic sacrifice, it's awesome and cool. But you have to be at peace with it. You gotta know for a fact. Yeah, the fucking F-Zero anime, the final Falcon Punch. You're at peace with your own demise. Help, just like fucking, yep, you're gone. And I love that for player characters. You can either surrender and be like, all right, homie, we got outmatched. We're going to get tied up. We're going to get a cool prison escape scene. Or you can be like, ah, fuck you, motherfucker. I'm taking you with me. And just explode with them. At peace and going out like a legend. That's just so perfect in every way. I feel like more games should have stuff like this. Like, just dying at 0 HP it's okay. Like a D&D Pathfinder, Lancer, stuff like that. You're like, yeah, cool, I exploded, that's neat. At the same time, fuck you, I'm taking you with me. Whee! Type of stuff is always rad, in my opinion. And, like, I do love how it's like, this has to be narratively, like, you can't just do this at any given time just to, like, hit the instant win button on something. It has to narratively make sense. The big bad evil guy is there, and or your sacrifice would make like the world a better place, and or it would benefit someone you have a bond towards. Cool. You have to do something cool. Things that have surrendering. Surrendering is just like, cool. You're out of the game. You're out of the combat. You can no longer act or affect the scene with anything, no matter what abilities you have, no matter what's happening. You are at 0 HP. Even if you were brought above 0 HP from like a spell or something like that, or like the conflict is resumed and stuff like that, you just get taken out. You just get taken out of the fight. And your GM cannot kill you anymore. If you surrender, you're just like, all right, bye. But you get a consequence because of it. So anyone ever kill your character, but it'll fuck you up something else. But. Don't permanently cripple your enemies. I mean, your allies, your friends, your party. You impose heavy consequences, like your sword explodes, or like change your theme to something worse because like you're sad boy. But like, don't permanently destroy their character. But hey, you get 2 Fabula points. Da, 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 da. Like these are the ones that you give off, like consequences for surrendering. This darkness. You change your theme to anger, doubt, guilt, or vengeance. Your choice. Lost something incredibly precious, such as a magical artifact, a loved person, or ancient and important heirloom, is taken from you. Like you lost the princess. No. Resentment. You get a bond, and you are forced to erase one of your older bonds and replace it with a bond towards a character chosen by the GM. And it has to be a bad one, like hatred, inferiority, or mistrust. Separated is one of my favorite ones, but it's also weird in actual gameplay. Separated is you are no longer with your allies. You might be captured, dragged away, lost, or stranded in some unknown location. So when Frodo, after he got stabbed by Shelob and poisoned, like he gets carried off by the orcs, and now Sam has to go and try to rescue there while you try to rescue him and stuff like that. They can, of course, do narratively, like start to break themselves out and stuff like that. You can be up halfway and escape that way. But at the same time, it's really funny where it's like, well, I guess Dave's over there now. Yes, Crota when he fucking explodes. Separated is one of my favorites, but yes, it can be kind of weird narratively to like do. Not narratively, I should say mechanically do, because like splitting the party is always kind of oofy, because you have to divert your attention from like now there instead of 3 people and instead of like 4 people, there's 3 people in one person, like 2 separate groups. And hiccup there, ugh. So we kind of like, you know. It can get messy if you're like not like prepared as a GM for it, you know. You go back and forth, being like, cool. You have 2 different clocks now. One for the party, one for Dave, the guy who got stolen. Dave's trying to break out without getting caught. The guy's trying to break in without getting caught. Meet up in the middle. That's really fun and cool. It should ever be too out of the way though, where you have one person sitting out for like half of an entire session, because that is not fun. That is not narratively fulfilling in any way. They're just kind of sitting there. Motherfucker, there's another fly in my fucking room. How the fuck? And then we have resting. Resting is how you go and recover your energy and stuff like that. Kill it, I can't. I do not have the reflexes to kill a fly. Resting and stuff like that. If you're resting inside of a settlement, it's very easy to go and just you spend like 50 Zenit and go and get a room. Or if you have somebody who you know in town, you're like, cool, Fabula, I have a Fabula point right here. I know Dave from here. Him and I went to college together. I was actually his wingman that got him to go and get to his current wife. Can I sleep there? And you're like, cool, yeah. And then resting in the wilderness, you could either buy a tent with 4 inventory points. 1 tent is enough for your entire group. Final Fantasy style, you get to sleep in the tent, recover some HP and MP to go and fight on the Peninsula Power some more. Or again, hospitality from somebody, usually in exchange for help or money. So you find a nice witchy hut, like with 2 lesbian witches in the middle of the forest. You're like, hey, can we rest out here for a bit? We'll help you tend your garden in the morning. They're like, yeah, shit, cool. And then sometimes there's just a safe location with no dudes out. Like a secret room or like a nice consecrated temple, stuff like that. And then when you rest, you get all of your HP and MP back, and then recover from all status effects. Generally, resting needs at least 6 hours of you just chilling, doing nothing. And when you rest, you can go and use a new bond, maybe, add a new emotion, or erase an emotion from an existing bond and replace it with a different one. You don't have to do this every time you rest, obviously, but sometimes narratively you're like, you know what? Spend some time role-playing conversations or describing what you're doing. Like just your narrative stuff, like, hey, cool, hot springs time, we're gonna chill out, like relax a little bit. I'm gonna think back at the villain lady who was really hot and kind of made me flustered, and now I have a new bond. And then when you get new bonds and or new emotions, you can just be like, hey, this is why I feel this way. And everyone's like, oh, ooh, yeah, oh, wow. And then there's a bunch of different damage types. Physical, which is the most common one. You get stabbed, you get punched. Yeah. Air, bolt, dark, earth, fire, light, ice, poison. These are all different types of usually magical abilities. Some things like poison are very normal. But like these things do different types of damage and can also affect you with different status effects typically. And then there's different damage affinities. There's 4 levels. Kind of similar to how weaknesses and resistances and immunities and stuff like that work in other types of tabletop games. There's 4 different ones. So like vulnerability will give you twice the damage you take. So like an undead creature is vulnerable to light magic. So if you hit, like a cleric hits them with like sunbeam blast, pew, and the undead's like ah, and takes double damage. So if they roll a 20, they get 40 damage. Resistances, they'll lose half the normal amount. So it's like, oh, cool, I don't give a fuck. So like if it's undead, you hit them with darkness, they're like, Oh, I think they're immune actually, never mind. But speaking of immunities, they take no HP. And then there's absorption. Absorption does the opposite and gives them HP equal to the damage you would have normally done. You want to avoid doing that at all costs. If you end up having like vulnerability and resistance to something, you just take normal damage instead of double and then half, But if you are immune to it, that supersedes both of those. You're just immune to it. You don't take any damage from it, obviously. And then absorption would then later supersede all of those things. So if someone casts a spell on you that makes you, or you have a skill out of nowhere that lets you like become like absorb the damage instead, you just fuck you guys, slurp it back up. You can sometimes change the damage types based on different effects in the game. Like one of the Dark Blade skills makes their attack that normally does like physical damage do exclusively dark damage as they do even more damage with it. So it'll overwrite that type of physical damage they would normally do and then replace it with darkness. And then there's an entire table about how to improvise damage. I do like how they talk about here, though, sources of damage such as traps and hazards cannot ever kill a player character unless they choose to sacrifice themselves, which should be portrayed as a sudden stroke of luck or as a coincidence of a character's heroic resolve. So, like, even if you fall into, like, a hazardous terrain, like, the game, like, shows off, like, hey, like, the character falls into a river of lava and reduces to 0 HP. You can surrender and then manage to land on a floating rock, but pass out because of the heat and the pain. Which will then separate him from the group using the other rules stuff for the surrendering in the fight. And here are all these status effects and stuff like that. Dazed, shaken, slow, and weak are the most common you'll see, because that's what you can go ahead and do on your own turns, and some monster abilities can do that. But being poisoned and enraged are not unheard of. Dazed reduces your insight die by 1 size. Weak reduces your might by 1 size. Shaken reduces your willpower by 1 size. Slow reduces your dexterity by 1 size. And enraged and poisons, actually, enraged makes your dexterity and insight go down by 1. And then poison makes your might and willpower go down by 1. So those ones, they're more rare, but they do affect 2 different attributes at once, which is scary. But you cannot double up on the exact same status effect. You can't be dazed twice or enraged twice, stuff like that. But you do recover from all stat effects as soon as you rest. And then, of course, the status effect immunity means you're immune to certain stat effects. I love this fucking art so much. And then Fabula points, we've talked about these this entire book. Fabula points, you get them at the start of a session, you immediately get 1 of them. Whenever you roll a fumble, you get 1 of them. Whenever you surrender, you get 2 of them. Whenever a villain shows up to the scene in general, and they just make an entrance, even if like it's a GM scene where they're not present, you get a Fabula point. You should get 1. Whenever you invoke one of your bonds or traits, or to automatically fail a check, because you can do that, by the way. You can be like, cool, I'm broken as my trait thingy. I'm going to fail this check real quick. You get a Fabula point. There is no limit to the amount you can stack together. There's no amount you can hoard. However, spending your Fabula points is how you're going to get a lot of your XP. So you're going to want to be getting those as much as you can, and then using them as much as you can. You will alter the narrative a whole lot, but that's the entire game. That's the whole point you're playing this game, is to go and be like, cool, I fucked up, I got a Fabula point. I did something really cool, I got a Fabula point. The GM had the villain show up, I got a Fabula point. So I'm going to spend them to change the narrative, invoke my traits, do all stuff like that. We already talked about all this stuff. You can use your Fabula points to affect the story, and to add an existing element or change one that exists. And you can invoke bonds or traits. Using a skill, sometimes a skill requires you to use Fabula points to use it. Those are usually few and far between and are really powerful. And then, of course, alter the story. You could just kind of have stuff happen. You can shape the entire world with it for the most part. You could add NPCs, add an organization, add an area here. Cool. I'm going to use a Fabula point to add a hidden grove in this forest we're in, where it's kind of safe so we can take a nap. Or sometimes you should be like, yeah, here's a plot twist out of nowhere. My long-lost father arrives, and he will start duking it out with the villain character who appears out of nowhere, because he's been a knight this whole time. And you're like, oh, my dad! Stuff like that. And then villains. Villains are the main antagonists. These are the BBEGs. These are the main dudes you're going to be fighting the whole time. It's basically like an entire big part of the story. We'll go more about that when we get to the GM section. But just remember, Fabula points are for players, but the GM can get Ultima points. Ultima points are based on your narrative importance, so it's like a minor villain. It's like, ooh, an enemy commander, you get 5 of them. But if you get like the super turbo BBEG sorceress lady who's kind of hot, they can get 15 Ultima points. And you can spend them to invoke traits, recover from status effects and get MP, or just escape, just leave. Just bye. But once they have no more Ultima points left, you're no longer a villain. And just become an NPC you can kill. Or you can escalate. Escalating is when you become, you go from minor to major, major to supreme, and supreme, you just kind of chill out, you're just gonna sit there. But as soon as they escalate, all your players get a Fabula point as well, and they just become an even spookier villain. You should do this very rarely. Very, very rarely. This is a narrative thing. The game even says you should only have 2 to 4 per game. This should only do it when you make absolute sense. Like the enemy commander suddenly turning into a supreme archdemon makes negative sense. Just kill him. Let him die. Maybe let them turn to an ally, you know? Just make it sort of thematically. Just have Magus from Chrono Trigger show up, you know? But if you escalate every single villain, it's gonna be like, ugh, what's the point? I feel like I've done nothing anymore. I do like how they talk about it because, like, when a villain shows up, no matter what, you give your players a Fabula point. But like, if your villain has multiple identities, like different personas, they only get a Fabula point when the main bad guy one shows up. If they're going underneath their other secret identity, you don't get a Fabula point. Unless the deception is exposed, in which case it's like, oh, we can see through your lies, murder, death, night. And he's like, you got me, it's me, murder, death, night. And now you get Fabula points whenever he shows up, no matter what. And then we already went over inventory points and stuff like that. Like I said before, all the inventory items and stuff like potions or utility items or weapons, they're all pixel art. They're all really cute, and I love them the most. You use your inventory points to just pull out certain items, stuff like that. And then once you're back in town, you can spend 10 Zenit, which is the currency of Fabula Ultima, to go and replenish 1 inventory point. So if you have 6 inventory points maximum and you use 5 of them, you can go ahead and spend 50 Zenit to go and get all 5 of your inventory points back. And you're also not allowed to share your inventory points. So if you want to pool together all your inventory points to get like one whole tent for 4 inventory points, you cannot. You need to have one person just kind of hold out all of their inventory points just to get a cool tent. I do like how they specify, though, that, like, if it's a basic adventuring item, like a 6-foot pole, like a ladder, stuff like that, you're going to have it. Like, if you're like a thief, you're going to have lockpicks, fuck it. But if it's something weird and rare, you're going to have to spend inventory points for it. You're like, I don't know what this thing is. And then we're getting to the part of world travel and stuff like that. This book is pretty large. There's a lot of stuff to it. I go over a lot of these stuff like that, but like I realized the time. I think I'm gonna end it here for tonight and write into one of my friends, and then on Monday/Wednesday, we'll go over actual what's it called? Actual character creation rules for Fabula Ultima. Just before we get into super in-depth everything, thank you so much for the headpad. Move back to my just chatting overlay real quick. I want to thank you all for stopping by and hanging out with me while I go over my autistic hyperfixation. We're going to be rating into my GM for Wednesdays, River the Bard. He does a lot of tabletop stuff like I do. He's my main GM for my Wednesday night Pathfinder 2E games. He's a pretty fun guy, an amazing GM. And then we'll go on, I'll say Wednesday, we'll continue with Fabula Ultima. At 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll go over full character creation, how everything works together. Probably going to play Monster Hunter on Monday, again at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I still have to farm more Anjanath stuff, because I cannot get an Anjanath mantle for the life of me. But thank you all for stopping by once more. I'll see you all tomorrow, and goodbye.